start again. It's a rich thing.
Go then. For one last time this season, ladies and gentlemen, it is time for some IVRA GT Sprint action. And what a location we have come to. Mosport Park in Canada, an underrated gem on the iRacing service. And what a perfect place it is to host the final round, the grand finale of the IVRA GT Sprint Series. Hello and welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Happy Sunday, happy weekend to you. And I hope it's been going extremely well for you. My name is Somal Arora and I am joined by Stefan Schlacker, a driver in this series, now moved on to the broadcasting role. Stefan, you've raced here, you've been a part of this very series, you know exactly what the tension is all about today. What a special day it is today as we come to the very end of the series.
Yeah, season finales always are special, no matter what series you're racing in, virtual or real life. It is the perfect setting. Mosport, you can't have a better proving ground for your newest championship series. It is all going to be about the Audi platform versus the BMW. Can the BMWs find redemption in the last two races of the season?
Absolutely, it is going to be insane. It's going to be intense in the midfield, in the lower part, and most importantly at the very top, where we have a big three-way championship fight. It is Mac Performance, RSR Esports by G Performance, and Team Heusinkveld. And the interesting part is, look at this. All three of them barely separated by anything. And to give you context, the winners get 200 points here, the second 190. So all the gaps that you're seeing here, they're very minimal at the very top. Stefan, I know I shouldn't ask this question very early on in the broadcast, but I can't help myself. Who do you think is going to come away with this? Because Heusinkveld, they've won the last three races that we've had in the series. Momentum clearly on their side.
Yeah, momentum clearly on their side, but I mean, you have to give it to Heusinkveld. They have been extremely dominant and also very clean and consistent. But RSR Esports by G Performance, they have had very bad luck in the last few races. So they most definitely look for an upturn in their not only strategy but also in their luck, because they really want that first title. And Mac Performance Sim Racing Team, even though they're first, I feel like they're a little bit of the underdog here, even because they really haven't been at the very peak of their performance yet.
Exactly. I wonder what that peak will be like and if they get there. Interesting fact, Mac Performance haven't won a single race in this championship, but they are still our leaders. That's how consistent they have been. And it just goes to show the nature of the series, the way the series is structured. And you can see that in the points as well. As I mentioned, the winner gets 200, the second place team 190, so on and so forth. And the gaps are very minimal. And the best part is, folks, if you are new to the championship, it's not just one race that we're going to have today. It is going to be two. The first one based on normal qualifying session, which is going to be live right now. And the second one, well, that is a reverse grid structure. That is where things are going to get really interesting. And the best part, Stefan, teams are not quite able to project where they will end up at the end of the first race, so they really don't know what target they're chasing.
Yeah, exactly. So it's all about getting your footings right at the first race, and then really just trying to not get held up by the slower cars in the second race. And while that, you also have to fight off all the guys that finished ahead of you in the first race. So really, these guys, they just go into this race with an open mind, just give it all you got, leave it out there on the track, and then see where you're at for the second race.
Absolutely, should be incredible. And what a year it has been for the IVRA GT Sprint Series. Its first season. We've gone everywhere. We've touched the amazing circuits of Europe with Silverstone, Donington Park, Zandvoort. Then in the middle we had a trip to Daytona, which was quite frantic, I must say. And at last we are back in the Americas for the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And goodness me, what a circuit this is, honestly. It's just so narrow, it is just so tricky. To put things into context, it's only 42 feet wide. Silverstone is 56 feet wide, and Zandvoort at its widest is around 40. Overtaking here, Stefan, is going to be very tricky.
Yeah, it is, but I mean, the good thing is you have the Mario entry straight away right into the S's. That is pretty much your only passing opportunity. You also have somewhat Moss corner, but also not really, because it's such an awkward double right-hander that you are braking uphill and then still continuing to brake all the way to the second apex. So, yeah, I mean, it can be done right there, and also in Quebec, for example, but in reality, you only have the one passing opportunity, and even that is not really a passing opportunity because the S's are just so fast.
Exactly, that's just the nature of the CTMP circuit, and we must have a look at the format for today as well. We're going to have two qualifying sessions, and the top 5 teams in the warm-up are promoted directly into Q2, so even that becomes a very important session. The warm-up has been done. We're going to go straight away into qualifying, and as I mentioned, it's going to be 2 races. The first one based on qualifying, and the next one a reverse grid race. There's going to be a short break between both the races, but don't worry, there's going to be enough to keep you entertained. And the last stuff, live race control and safety cars. And Stefan, what kind of impact can that have on the race here?
It could be huge. Obviously, it could throw your strategy right out the window if it comes into the place at the wrong point of time. But let's be honest, we haven't really seen safety cars in this series thus far. It has been really clean.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't even expect a safety car here.
And that's quite the opposite from what we've seen in other IVRA competition, with the Club Sport Series ending yesterday. This one, well, this has just been pure, clean, good racing, and hopefully it continues on that way. Let's focus on the track a little bit more. The Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, it's an old one. It was built in the late 1950s, and the first ever race here was won by one person called Sam Bird. It's not the one who was flying away with Jaguar in Formula E, someone else, but they were driving the old Triumph TR3 cars, only 955 kilograms. And since then, this circuit has had so many Formula 1 races, 8 different years, and Jackie Stewart from Tyrrell was the only double winner over here. Perhaps just going to show how tricky a track it has been, and it always will continue to be to master.
Yeah, exactly. It is just such a hard track. Even though it doesn't look that hard on paper, it is just a flowing nature this track has. One corner leads into the next one, and pretty much all corners are blind apexes, if you think about it. Turn 1, completely blind on turning. Clayton, you have the hill that you have to dive down with a late apex. Quebec, same thing. Moss, same thing. And even the S's, they look easy on paper, but it's so hard to get it 100% right for hours straight.
Yeah, exactly. It's just such a hard track to master. It looks easy, and it's a really fun track to drive on, which explains why it's so popular among track day drivers in the Americas. But when you come to race on it, it is just so tricky. Riding on board right now with Michael Schlacks, the leader of the championship for Mac Performance Sim Racing Team. Let's speak about Mac Performance for a little bit. Stefan, we see Michael go for a bit of a fun lap around here. What kind of a year has this been for them? As you mentioned, they've not quite had peak performance, but they still end up leading. They've just been so consistent all the way through.
Yeah, and there were also one of the teams, if I remember correctly, that switched from the Z4 into the Audi. Yeah. So it has been an interesting transformation for the Mac Performance Sim Racing Team because they were strong in the Z4. Arguably one of the strongest team probably all around in that Z4, and then they made the transition to the Audi after we got the Lambo and the new BMW, and since then they have been on top performance standings wise, but it always felt a little bit like there was more in the tank for them and they just weren't able to get that from their car or from their setups. So while they're leading, as I said earlier, I really do think that they're still the underdog here going into a Canadian Tire Motorsports Park because just of how much room I think they still have left in that car.
And from then we move on to the RSR Esports by G Performance. The machine that you see right here, that is the number 55 car. What a bizarre year it's been for the 55 car. They had such a beautiful run at the very top, taking so many podiums, and then all of a sudden in Zandvoort, I think the last race that you raced in, Stefan, they just had calamity all over, with Boris Angelovando facing issues with his PC. And since then, the 55 car, they have recovered. They got a second place at Road Atlanta, but that was such a big blow to their championship. They really could have been the leaders, but then this big incident happened. How much is it going to be tricky for them to recover psychologically? Because they currently stand in P number 4. They're a bit aloof. There's nobody really ahead of them that they can close up, and nobody really behind them. But must be a tricky thing to recover from that, no? Just such a bad incident that they had in Zandvoort.
Yeah, exactly. Nothing you can do there with Miguel just having those hardware issues. Nothing you can change between the races or anything, or fix between the races. And if I remember correctly, before Zandvoort, they actually went into the 2 races with a 1-2 lead for both cars, the 55 ahead of the 56. So it has been quite a rough race weekend since then, but they have a little bit rebounded with that second place at Road Atlanta. So I don't think they're completely out of the mix, but obviously out of all teams, the 55 has the worst stand, being nearly 200 points behind.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, even if they end up winning both the races, it'll need something major for the other teams for them to even break up into the top 3. That's the situation with the number 55 car. Meanwhile, let's focus more on these folks in the number 78 machine. Team Hersingwell, by the way, folks, they became the only team in the history of the IVRA GT Sprint Series competition, which is a bit of a small history, I must admit, but they became the first team ever to claim a double victory last time out of Road Atlanta. And that is after winning in race number 1 and being sent to the very back of the grid in race number 2. How good of a performance was that last time out, Stefan?
Yeah, it was honestly incredible. I didn't think they're going to be able to do it at the very start of the race, but after lap 2 or 3, I already saw, man, those guys are on fire. I don't know what they've eaten for breakfast, but my goodness, they just went through one overtake after another, and then all of a sudden they were chasing down first place. And since first place was actually last place in the first race, it was quite an easy lunch for them to get that first place after all.
Yeah, exactly. They just grabbed through all of it and they were dominating with some real ease. They've been working hard on their setups, as every single team has. As qualifying 1 is underway right now. As we mentioned previously, if you are really good in the warm-up, you do get a bit of a bonus. You are sent directly into Q2. And that's an interesting part, Stefan. It's not that we've discussed much of it right here on RaceSpotTV for these broadcasts, but in the warm-up session, it's a bit... It's not like a traditional warm-up where you just go out there and burn, warm up your tires as such, just get hang of it. It's like a proper pre-race. You really have to go in there and drive like you would be in the race.
Now, I'm going to answer this proposition here of you with a question for you. Did you ever see our car, Solar Vision Racing, in Q2 directly?
Good question. I think in Zandvoort, perhaps? You did?
No, not a single time, because it's actually slower to go directly into Q2 than to stay in Q1, because the track gets hotter and hotter, and obviously you have the lowest temperatures in Q1 directly, so it is always a little bit better to be out in Q1, because not only are you in Q1 and Q2 if you get to Q2, but also your time from Q1 gets transitioned over into Q2, and so if nobody is able to beat your lap time from Q1 in Q2, you're in pole even though you didn't get right away into Q2.
Yeah, exactly. That's what happened the last time out for Team Hersingwell. They ended up in pole position with their lap from qualifying 1, and nobody could beat it. Nobody just couldn't even get close. Not even Hersingwell themselves. They were just so good in Q1, and as you rightly mentioned, temperatures played a really big role in helping them out with everything, and that's going to be very interesting. Just how you manage out, how you make sure that you capitalize on the temperatures, as we see Marian Hensel take a bit of a spin.
Yeah, exactly. It's all about temperature management, not only in your car, but also on the track. And, I mean, it was the same thing as Zandvoort. First place and us in second place. Both laps got put into the qualifying in Q1, and nobody was able to beat them in Q2, because Q2 was about 5 degrees hotter than Q1. So it really all comes down to... obviously, a little bit of luck in Q1 as well, because in Q1 you have so many more cars running at the track, so it's really hard to get that window of opportunity right, that you have an uninterrupted lap with a slower traffic around you. So it is obviously a little bit of a gamble. If it doesn't pay off, you're starting somewhere in the midfield of the pack instead of being at the very front.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be tricky to see how the teams manage that element out, knowing how they can work things out right now. On the screen, of course, you see Team Oblivion racing the Lamborghini. Had a bit of a tricky round the last time out. Made a few errors here and there that, if they wouldn't have happened, they really would have had an excellent result, but hopefully they will be bouncing back better. And this makes it a very interesting proposition, Stefan, because qualifying here at the CTMP, I've heard it's a circuit very much about commitment, very much about knowing the feel of your car. How do you master this circuit? It's such a roller coaster one, this.
Managing your car in a roller coaster like that, it is one of the hardest things to do, let's be honest. You'll not only have to have a car that is settled throughout the very fast turns, but you also have to have a car that is settled over all the crests, especially through Clayton. You're not allowed to have a car that just slides too much if it gets loose on the weight, because then you're just completely going to lose your car over the crest of Clayton. So it is a little bit of a compromise that you have to do, but also it is an even bigger compromise on a track like CTMP, because you have a very slow corner in Moss and Whites, but also you have extremely fast corners like Quebec, like Clayton, like the S's. So, and you also obviously have the very long mud entry straight away. So you have to compromise on downforce and on your overall mechanical grip levels, just so that you can have the fastest lap overall and not just in a single sector.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense. It's going to be very tricky to manage your setups, and there have been murmurs going around. The teams have gone for 2 different setups. I mean, just predicting where they will be in race number 2, depending on that. So they've altered quite a few things. And Stefan, I've always been curious. In ovals, setups are everything, right? I mean, if you don't get your setups correctly, you're essentially, that's the difference between you being in first or perhaps being in last. And it's not so much the case in road courses for sure, but it does make a major impact on the way your car handles. And for so many drivers, that's the ultimate thing, just making sure that the car feels correct.
One big thing you don't have in ovals is driver switch, which you have on road courses. So you can have the best setup possible ever for one driver, and it's the worst possible setup ever for your second driver. So you also have to compromise in that sense, that you might have 2 drivers with different driving techniques that clash together, even though they are probably the fastest combination of drivers in 2 different cars. But when they're in the same car, you're going to have to start making compromises, that you have to take away a little bit from the ability of one guy to give it to the other guy so that he also can drive that car. I mean, most of the times these difference in driving styles are very slim, because you never want to have a guy who wants a loose car and one guy who wants a very stable car together in a car, because that's never going to work. So you always still, it is still that compromise between a guy who likes a little bit more of a stable car versus a guy that drives a car that is more neutral. So it is still that compromise between that little gap.
Yeah, exactly. It's interesting. I mean, there are teams, in fact, that have also gone in and switched their cars. I mean, they've gone for 1 Audi, 1 Ferrari. It's interesting to see how teams have chosen, just understanding and playing to the strengths of their drivers. And it's, of course, very, very critical for them to make sure that all their drivers, well, they have a similar style. End of qualifying 1 as we take a beautiful look at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. And it's a circuit that's known for many things. A circuit that's known for flowy corners. It's known for all the greenery and the grass that you see alongside. It's known for all the other events and festivals too. In fact, you can also arrange your wedding here at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Not advertising, just saying that that's a real possibility. It's also known for crests, steep descents, banked corners, and more importantly, the crazy finishes that we're going to get here. But let's switch our focus away from the lead battle, Stefan, and let's focus a little bit in the midfield too. Because there's a real fun fight going along there. There's N-Race Esports in P5, Archer Brother Esports in P6, and CXR Project Black, who switched from the Ford GT, the really old Ford GT, the one that used to race in 2005, believe you me. And now they're with the Lamborghini. These people are really fighting for a very, very high slot in the championship, and we often tend to put it on the back burner because it's not the lead battle. But man, the intensity is just right there, isn't it?
No matter where you look in the standings, you always have some great battles with some great intensity. I think that's just the nature of the GT Sprint series. And I mean, CXR Project Black, probably one of the weirdest teams you have in this series, let's be honest. First of all, starting off the season in the Ford. Just why? I mean, you can say what you want about the Ford. They really made it work. They put everything into that car, and they got rewarded from it. I mean, I think they won a race at Silverstone, if I remember correctly. but or at least got second place.
In Donington, yeah. Donington race 2, they got second.
Oh, there we go. So, I mean, that's one thing, but then they switched over to... They are now in the... I think Audi they are now?
Yeah, the Lamborghini, yeah.
Oh, Lamborghini, yeah. Oh, well, same thing. And I mean, they haven't had the same success in the Lamborghini as in the Ford. Let's be honest about that. So it is, I don't know, a little bit weird. I mean, yes, they got right into Q2 this time around, but I feel like they made a little bit of a step backwards going into the Lamborghini versus when they were in the Ford.
No, they've still got a pretty good result, finishing P6 the last time out in Road Atlanta in the second race. They're coming back with a vengeance, that's for sure. And that's interesting, yeah, how they made it work with the Ford GT. It's such a left field choice because the Ford is such an old car. And I had a chat with Paul Searle, one of their drivers, and the reason behind them actually choosing the Ford is because his teammate didn't have the other car. And they still made it work somehow. And CXR Project Black very promptly coming in the chat and mentioning that they chose the car because it is an absolute beast. Qualifying 2, ladies and gentlemen, has begun meanwhile as we had a slight discussion on Team CXR Project Black. Now, of course, as Stefan mentioned, it's going to be a bit tricky for them to go out there and beat the lap times of qualifying 1 as it stands. And as usual, seems like Team Hursingwell are at the very top. Here it is, CXR Project Black with the Lamborghini once again.
Yeah, and I mean, I think we have all the contenders in... No, actually... Oh, we actually don't have all the contenders in Q2 because RSR by G Performance, a 56, actually only placed 15th and that last in qualifying. Yeah. So they even were 7/10 of second last. So probably something happened in that 56 machine. So interesting. Also, RSR by G Performance, a 55. No, they're in the car. They're driving out. So yeah, I don't know. It's a little bit of a weird stack. But the good thing is, and that's what I like to see, we have 2 BMWs still right now in this Q2.
That's an interesting topic we should come down to right now. The BMWs versus the Audis. You mentioned it at the very top of the broadcast. What's the real difference like? We saw these cars coming in, I think around Christmas, was it, in 2020?
Yeah.
And since then, there's been lots of discussions about which one has been the strongest. The grid has given their clear opinion, right? Lots of people shifting from whatever car that they had to the Lamborghini, and I think a couple of teams, including Mac Performance, moving to the Audi from their previous cars. But why did Solar Vision, your team, Stefan, move to the BMW? And you've been mentioning me that the BMW should have a real good advantage here at CTMP. What is that advantage all about today?
Well, first and foremost, the Lamborghini is just a more stable Audi. It is the same platform. It even is the same engine. So it is literally Audi with a Lamborghini badge on top of it. The thing though is, it is a tiny little bit wider than the Audi. It is also a tiny little bit heavier than the Audi. And that gives it a little bit of a proposition that it is more stable over curbs, but it also induces a little bit more understeer. And that's what people liked about the Lamborghini. However, what we have seen throughout the season is that the Audi, with the tracks that have come up in the second half of the season, still was a stronger car because it was able to turn better than the Lamborghini. Now with the BMW, you have a very tall car, a very long car. It is extremely stable over pretty much any surface, street surface, high curbs, it doesn't matter, it takes it like a champ. And that is the good thing. It also has an immense amount of torque, but that comes with a big problem. It doesn't have enough traction to keep all those horses underneath it. And that's something that you see with a lot of BMW cars, especially in the series. They haven't been able to get their setups right enough so that they can utilize all the torque that they have available out of slow turns. And most of the times they're very slipping and sliding out of slow turns, and that really hurts them not only in their times but also in their tire performance. So it is a little bit of a trade-off that you have in the BMW, but overall it also is the fastest car that is in this series. And it is a little bit of an interesting development in this series. While we at SVR were really strong at Zandvoort, and we really got that car perfectly set up, and we really were looking forward to the rest of the season because we felt very confident that it is the strongest car by quite some margin over the other cars in the circuits that were still coming up on Road Atlanta and also CTMP. So I'm honestly a little bit disappointed by the performance of the other BMW teams because they haven't been able to extract the same performance like we have been able to.
A masterclass in both the cars here by Stefan Schlacker, and you're absolutely right. I thought that after you guys won, after Solar Vision Racing won at Zandvoort, I thought more BMWs would be coming in and doing a better job. But well, it's just a case that they haven't quite been able to materialize much from it. Let's see what they can do here, ideally, with the CTMP suiting their nature of being more stable and just riding over the bumps. And the bumps are very evident in one part of the circuit, Stefano. Of all the research that I did, everyone just seemed to point towards Moss Corner. It's a very tricky one to handle this. It's a very tricky corner. You're coming in from a quick downhill left-hand descent straight into a very slow double right-hander, much like Road Atlanta and the double right-hand there. But I think that's the only realistic point that you have to force a move there, isn't it?
Moss Corner is probably one of the weirdest corners you can have on the racing circuit. Obviously, it started out at the very beginning of this track as a very tight hairpin until Sterling Moss himself got out on track and told the guys that it's better off with a double right-hander that's a little bit faster and induces more of a flow and a passing opportunity as well. I mean, yeah, you're saying it. I mean, it's also one of the hardest corners to get right on this track because you have that uphill, very steep uphill, and it suddenly just flattens off and you're left dead in the water. If you're a little bit offline, you're always going to understeer straight into the grass and spin, or even worse, crash into the barrier. So it is extremely tricky. It takes a lot of practice, even if you know this track blindly. So I don't know, it is, as I said, extremely hard, and the bumps as well makes it even worse, so you even have to compromise there on your setup as well, because it is the bumpiest part of the track.
Exactly. You just jitter along quite a fair bit as you go towards that part of the circuit. Now, our focus shifts towards Team Oblivion, and we saw briefly Shitsky Racing there. A big shout out to Rachel Williams, who's always a constant supporter on the RaceSpotTV channel. And for all the other folks, if you're just coming here for the first time, you know the drill, you know exactly what to do. We post sim racing content and have live broadcasts every other day, so give us a follow, give us a like if you haven't already. What are you waiting for? I mean, the only reason why you're here is because you enjoy sim racing, and if you do, what's the wait? Meanwhile, 8 minutes left towards the end of qualifying number 2. Been a bit of a quiet affair, no drama. I expected a few teams to just miss their markers here and there, but apart from the spin that we saw initially, there was nothing much else going on here. And I think it gives us a very, very good time to speak more about what kind of a battle we can expect to see on track here. As we mentioned, a very narrow circuit, only around 42 feet wide. It's a couple of feet wider than Zandvoort, but nevertheless, it should be very hard to make overtaking opportunities work around here. But that doesn't mean that we're in for a dull race, Stefan, because we saw in Zandvoort, there were people going for moves in outlandish places. And that was quite a fun one as well. So I don't think this one should be a tricky broadcast to watch. I think it should be insane, considering the championship obligations as well.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to have people just driving very carefully around. Mainly the top 4 people, because just looking at the times right now, they are really all over the place. Huizenveld leads the way right now with a 1:15.794, but RSR by G Performance is still only 14th and dead last in the qualifying. So just continues to be extremely weird. Mac Performance is right now 4th place, already in pit lane, so they have already stopped their qualifying attempt as we're right on board here with Team Huizenveld through turn 1. I mean, yeah, at Zandvoort we had a very great race altogether. You saw some incredible passes as well, like for example Alexander did for the lead around the outside of turn 1. That's something you don't see very often on a highly banked corner like Tarzan Bordes. So quite honestly, you probably can expect something like that from today as well. although it is going to be a little bit harder to set up for passes because of the high-speed flowing nature this track has.
Exactly, it's very, very smooth, very flowy, many bumps, many crests, many descents, some corners where you also have no apex that you can see. It's also blind in many cases. You know what? Let's actually go for a quick lap on board with Team Hursingwell. Let's see what CTMP is like for itself. Let's experience it firsthand. Why don't you give us a good idea of what it's like, Stefan, to drive around here?
It shall be my pleasure. Let's have a look then on board with Team Hursingwell, going through the S's right now. Right-hander, left-hander, setting it very nicely up for a fast lap through whites here. Very bumpy on the inside, easy on the throttle, taking all the curb there on the left side and up for the fly through turn number 1. Extremely easy to make a mistake through here. Have to climb all the way through the curb, and that's what I'm talking about. Extremely easy to make exactly that mistake, and that's already his lap done for today. Just a little bit too wide on the apex, a little bit too early on the apex as well, and that's what you pay for. Immediately down into the grass, and quite honestly a very good save as well.
Yeah, that really got frantic. Right at the start of the lap, it just all ended for Team Hursingwell. But nothing to worry about. They are still in provisional pole position as we head to the final 4 odd minutes of qualifying. But a name that I'm really happy to see there, it is Archer Brother Esports in second place, Stefan. That's not happened very often.
No, it hasn't happened very often, and they have been with quite some bad luck as well throughout this season. So it's very nice that in the last race of the season they can hopefully keep that first row appearance. Right now they're safe by about half a tenth, so for the last 4 minutes I think they are probably going to be good as well.
Yeah, exactly. Should be fun to see how they manage it out and how they stick it out right there. But the key thing is Team Hursingwell's main rivals, Mac Performance in P number 4 currently. Only 3.5 minutes to go. I doubt that there are going to be major improvements being made, but they're right there in P4. Where is the RSR 56 car? The RSR 56 car, folks, is in P number 20. Now, I kind of get this because Boris Angelovando, who is RSR's star driver, he's unfortunately been suffering with some shoulder pain and he hasn't quite been at peak performance. So hopefully that really does go away by the time we get to the race, but that's going to be unlikely. So he's driving through a lot of pain right here. But now, folks, it's time for a quick onboard lap. Well, once again, Stefan, I think we can go here and explain the lap that we actually missed out on the last time out.
Yeah, a little bit on a slower pace here, Marian. I think he's already done with his fast laps, but you saw Quebec and Clayton there very nicely. He still was kind of on the racing line, and it is going to be all about this corner here, Moss corner. It's just so tricky to set up, but it is so crucial for a fast lap time, because if you're a little bit wide, you're gonna get it out on the marbles and you're immediately losing 2-3 tenths, and then obviously you're also lacking the grip to accelerate all the way upwards through the Mariandrati straightaway, which really isn't a straightaway, it's more like a curved way.
Exactly. That's the case with it. It's very tricky just to keep it really straight around here. It's a track with constant turns and changes and everything. Just a very interesting one. But folks, if you're joining us once again, welcome to RaceSpotTV. Final round of the IVRA GT Sprint Series. Thank you so much for choosing to spend some part of your Sunday with us. Of course, my name is Samuel Aurora, joined by Stefan Schlacker, and in the producer's booth, it is Tyler Maxon with us. And Tyler is not an ordinary producer, a multiple-time race winner, and a champion as well last time out in the American TCL Series. So we've got some proper racing royalty in here with us in the commentary booth. But qualifying is almost about to come to an end. Team Hursingwell with the provisional pole position, and right now you are looking at Marion Hensel, who had that spin at the first part of qualifying 1, but has recovered to put that car up into P number 5. We see him driving his way past Moss Corner. Big shout out to Rachel Williams once again, who's donated $5 in the super chat. Thank you so much for your support, Rachel. Really means a lot to the RaceSpot family, and I hope, folks, that you also keep on watching our broadcasts here. We've got some really good stuff with some properly big series coming up. And with the IVRA competition having a short break and then coming back even stronger, it's just going to be content all around everywhere. But But last minute to go here, we must also speak about the IVRA Triple Crown Championship coming up later on in the year. 3 24-hour endurance races that you can still take part in technically. I mean, if you have a really good team with your mates, you can register and enter. All information is available on the IVRA website. It's ivraleague.com. You can go out there, check it for yourself, and who knows, maybe find yourself on the grid the next time out we come about here. But now then, 30-odd seconds to go in qualifying. Stefan, seems to be like Team Hersing will have just accelerated their advantage. What do you expect coming into race number 1?
I wouldn't be surprised if Team Hersing just runs away with this lead like they have done at Road Atlanta. I don't see Archer Brothers being able to challenge them for that first place. Maybe CXR can get something out of their bag and somehow be able to challenge them. But other than that, quite honestly, I don't see anyone being able to challenge them for race number 1. However, race number 2, that's going to be a way different story because once again, they'll have to drive through the whole field.
Yes, exactly. It's not a simple reverse grid as the checkered flag falls on. It's a complete reverse, right? It's not like the top 6 or the top 10 or top 15 or whatever get reversed. It's the entire grid. You win, it's the ultimate punishment for you. You get sent all the way to the back, which kind of proves why Mac Performance have been so good in this series. They've never won, but they've just about managed to eke their way up into good results, and they have made their way to the lead, but they haven't had the best of qualifyings, only in P number 4 with Hersingveld in pole position. Bright and sunny day this at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. It seems like an unlikely one. It's usually much hotter here. It's usually much colder, in Canada, but it's a rather warm and pleasant day in Canada. Should be the perfect weather to have a really exciting first race. A meritocracy, this one, with the qualifying positions determined by, well, a qualifying that we just saw here today. And Team Hersingwell have taken pole position, and it's only a couple of minutes till we go green, till we go racing. Let's focus a little bit more about the circuit, right? It's had such incredible history, and interestingly enough, it's the only circuit in the world, apart from one Watkins Glen, to host Formula 1, IndyCar, the FIA World Endurance Championship, and Can-Am races. It's some record, this one. And Mosport Park, it may not be the most spoken about circuit in the world, it may not be the most downloaded circuit on the iRacing service, but man, once you download this, once you get on to driving here, it is such a flowy circuit. It's a track day specialist, it's a track day favorite circuit. But when we get to racing here, it may be narrow, it may be tricky to pass on, but when the going gets interesting, it has made for some rather incredible finishes. I mean, just ask Chase Elliott and Ty Dillon about this. They had this incredible race back in 2011, if I'm not mistaken, in NASCAR's. Really fun way to end this one. But it's time for the starting grid then. Matt Stogg Hertzfeld on pole position for Team Hersingwell, asserting their dominance at the very beginning. And a pleasant surprise this. Archer Brother Esports in P2 with Samuel Robson putting an excellent effort to put that car in second. Then again, it's the CXR Project Black team that we discussed about in P3 with the second championship contender, the leader, Nick Matson in P4. Marion Hensel for Team Liper Esports is in P5 with Florian Volk for Mayor Sim Speed Performance up in P number 6. Then the Apex Missers in P7. Johnny Koenig has put that car right up there with Radu Zenovanu. I hope I've got that correctly. For Shipski Racing in P number 8. Sven Enthoven in P number 9 for the Apex Misters with Joni Waters for Quasar Sim Racing rounding off the top 10. Then the second Quasar Sim Racing, the Hydra cars in P11 with Garrett Thompson, with Maxime Marriott, the N-Race esports team that have been so impressive in P12. Thomas Cope starts in P13 for Team Oblivion Racing with Michael Stogbauer for the RSR 55 machine, the one that had such great potential at the start of the series, just tailing off eventually, unfortunately. Lapsat Racing with Neil Butler are in P number 15 with Robin DeBecker for the Roaring Chicken Nuggets in P16. David Milner-Rowitz is in P17 for the Lapsat Racing team, and Ren Zielman in 18 for the .exe Esports Neon Green team. And yes, that is a McLaren, ladies and gentlemen. We still have them on the grid. Pierre Burmeister in P19 for the awesome Motorsport group, and how painful is it to see Boris Angelovando, a proper superstar of this championship, unfortunately only in P20 for the RSR Esports by G Performance 56 team, and finally it is Team Vikings with Marty Jakola in P21. A 21 car grid this one. It's slightly shorter than what we had in the early goings of the season, but Stefan, as we look at the beginning of the formation lap, it's very clear, right? It may be only 21 cars, it may be a smaller grid, but the carnage and the drama and the action, it is just going to be turned up to 11 here today.
Yeah, I don't think we ever saw a race that wasn't packed with excitement, drama, tears and tears of joy. So I really expect great things of this first race, and obviously the second race is gonna be even wilder. And by the way, if you're wondering why that 777 Team Vikings hasn't put in a lap time in qualifying, that is because they had a qualifying ban to sit out this race.
Exactly, so they have not been able to set in their laps. They have to start all the way back in P21. It could be a blessing in disguise, you know. They may just end up being a team that benefits in the second round in the reverse grid. But the focus, it has to be on this one. Helsingwelt on pole position. Archer Brother Esports in second. Stefan, final predictions for this one. Who do you think comes up with the win? And what happens in the championship battle in this first race?
Team Helsingwelt, if they're gonna be leading after the first race, they're gonna win this race. And yeah, I think it's gonna narrow down to the two-way fight between Team Helsingwelt and Mac Performance Sim Racing Team in the championship for the race number 2.
Should be absolutely intense, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget, this is it, the championship finale. We've just got one more race coming up to go after this one, but that is a part of the same broadcast. The series gets decided today. This is when we find out who is going to be the inaugural IVRA GT Sprint Series champion. Could be any of Helsingwelt, Mac Performance and the 2 RSR cars. Here we go then. Final couple of corners before we begin race number 1. The Porsche safety car is about to pull in any moment now, and we shall be good to go. The roar of the engines is filling up the 910-acre Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. For the second last time this season, we go green for the IVRA GT Sprint Series. The teams are waiting and then they go in at the start zone. Seems to be nice and clean at the beginning with Barney the flagman waving the flag with certain intensity, and Team Helsingwelt already pulling out an incredible gap to Archer Brother Esports, just like Stefan had predicted. Down into the second corner, big downhill descent, all clean but not so much. A spinner in the back, and that's a huge accident. That has to be the Oblivion Racing team and Mayor Sim Speed. Carnage on the first lap already, and the pedals of the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park showing their face very, very early on. At the top though, Helsingwelt still very calm and composed, but Archer Brothers have closed up that gap that they lost out initially in the first couple of corners. But goodness me, that was an intense start, Stefan.
Yeah, very much so. I think I saw Florian Vogt there with 2 tires in the grass, and that's why he spun. Have to confirm that though on the replay when we get it. Oh, look at that! Tyler Maxson to the rescue. Let's have a look there then. Florian Vogt, the 73, is going to try around the outside of, I think that's Shipsky, BMW, and yeah, look at that. 2 tires on the grass, and that's right into the field.
Yeah, and that's the Quasar car that got caught out with it as well. That is absolutely terrible for the Quasar Sim Racing Hydra machine driven by Garrett Thompson. They find themselves in P number 17. And interestingly enough, Stefan, Lapsat Racing Team number 11, they already find themselves in the pit lane after that incident. That is an early impact in the wrong way, unfortunately.
Yeah, the wrong way, most definitely for those guys. Sad to see a car not even make 3 corners in the first race of the season finale.
Yeah, exactly, just the wrong way to begin the season finale, just starting off on the wrong footing. But at the top, everything is nice and clear so far. They're just having a good time, enjoying at the very first part of the race. And they realized, right, it's a good thing, it's a good smart thing that they aren't pushing too hard initially, because they know that they might end up crashing out, just like this one. A lovely onboard camera from Tyler Maxson showing what happened to Garrett Thompson. Oof, that is a big F in the chat, unfortunately.
Yeah, most definitely. Sadly, wasn't able to avoid that, and then he also got rear-ended right into the spinner, because obviously car behind was unsighted as well. Yeah, just at the wrong time, in the wrong spot, sadly, for those guys.
Yeah, just the wrong way to begin. They'll be having a bit of damage that they have to cope up with towards the very end of the race. That's going to be tricky for them to manage out, considering how close the field is. That damage could be slowing them down big time. Meanwhile, Boris Angelovando has been profiting from everything. He started all the way in P number 20. He's made up 6 positions, partly due to that crash and partly due to his own smart driving.
Oh, who is that?
Car. Ah, what happened?
That was a car in the wall. Who was that?
CXR! Oh my goodness me, that with the team in P number 3. CXR Project Black are in the pit lane. What's just happened here? Oh my goodness me, the Shipsy Racing team we saw on the screen right now, they're fine. But what's happened to Paul Searle in the CXR Lamborghini?
Oh no!
Oh! Ow! And it's just the grass again, Stefan.
Yeah, once again, as you said, the grass on the outside just ever so slightly too wide there on the curbing, and yeah, just one of the easiest mistakes to do there through Clayton, and Paul Searle most definitely paying quite the price for that one.
Yeah, that was such a big result. That's evidently going to be stolen out of their hands. It could have been so much better for CXR Project Black, and there's a crash! That's the second Quasar Sim Racing car. What in the world is going on here? Yoni Waters spun around of all the places in the world at the home stretch. That is a bizarre one, this.
I wonder if he got shoved out the way there by RSR by Cheap Performance, because Michael Stöckbar was overtaking him right there through White's corner. So once again, a very awkward situation between two cars.
Oh goodness me, what in the world happened here? Quick replay is going to come up right about now. And we see them battling. Okay, so the RSR car is behind. They are trying to find a way past. And Yoni does concede the position. But then, oh, he gets pushed on the wall. Yeah, he gets pushed on the grass, my apologies. And that is how they spin. Stefan, the grass here, it seems to me like it's like the Canadian ice that we see most of the year here.
Yeah, it seems like the night was a little bit wet here at CTMP, and that's why the cars are spinning like that. Yeah, it was maybe a tiny little bit naughty there by Stöckbar, but quite honestly, I don't think really that's going to be much for race control to look at.
Yeah, exactly. Rubbing is racing here very much so. Less than touring cars, of course, but you kind of expect to see this at White's Corner. It's a place where you can go wheel to wheel and door to door very easily. It does spill over. It has spilled over many, many times. But this was just another example of what can happen. And I have to feel for the Quasar Sim Racing team right now, because both of their cars in a very, very bad position as it stands. And unfortunately, it seems like the Rover and Chicken Nuggets team are also in the pit lane. So it's really not a really good start for many teams. I think just being caught out by the circuit. And it's an interesting part, this one, Stefan, because the CTMP circuit is not very popular on the iRacing service, and so many teams and drivers actually have to download it for the first time in the lead up to this race. Can it happen that just a little bit of lack of practice has resulted in these slight accidents here and there? It's just lapses of concentration as such.
I don't think so. Quite honestly, as we have a pass for precision here between Hensel and Conning. Conning going to the inside. There should be an easy pass, or not. Door banging there as well. And another door bang for Shipsky Racing. Really, most definitely more like a TCR race than anything else.
Yeah, that's a proper Shipsky slap there, if anything. And the RSR car makes their way past ahead of the Apex misses as well. So the RSR team are capitalizing on this lovely battle that we're seeing here in the midfield. And it's clear, right, Stefan? Who said that CTMP can't produce good racing? I think we're getting to see it right now.
Yeah, the problem is, and that's the reason why it's so unpopular, is that it makes you work for your passing opportunity. It's not just a long straight into a slow corner that you can perfectly set up because it's from a slow corner leading on to that straight. No, it makes you work for those passing opportunities, even though you have the Moss corner like here and then onto the Mario Andretti straightaway. It is still very tricky to set up Moss corner perfectly that you get a good run and be able to suck up in the draft and then slingshot around the car ahead of you.
And that slingshot is going to be so critical back on the Mario Andretti straight. The RSR car is closing up using the draft. On the sister car, the Lamborghini can't quite make its way past the Audi of the Liper Esports team. So they may be very well similar cars than the RSR team, just not getting an exit good enough to make a move there. But they have made the send at White's corner. Of course they have. And of course, Stokepower is up into P number 6. A lovely comeback from them. And behind, the Apex Misses team are sending it down the inside of Liper as well, but not quite able to make it done. So Myron Hensel drops down for P number 6 to P number 7, and Enthoven currently in P8 for the Apex Misses 185 machine. At the top, it is still very calm, still very smooth, with Matt Stokes Hertzfeld leading this race with an 0.8 of a second advantage. And what do you do if you're Robson right now for Archer Brothers Esports? Do you sit behind, do you conserve fuel, or do you actually go for the psychological advantage and say, well, I won the lead, man, I haven't won a race here?
No, most definitely, if you're Archer Brothers right now, you are very content with your pace. You're very content just saving fuel behind Team Heusenwald and seeing what you can do in the second part of the stint. Now, one thing that I want to talk about, though, is the RSR by G Performance, what they have shown thus far, and that's twice right into here, right through here, those two passes through White's corner. They are most definitely showing that it is, if you know how to do it, very easy to make overtakes happen here, because you can just get yourself the momentum through the left-hander of the second part of the S's, and with that, shoot to the inside of White's corner. It's super surprising for the guy you're trying to overtake. They don't see it coming, and it always results in you winning that position.
Yeah, exactly. They have shown that at this last part of the circuit, you can go side by side. You can try the over-under and make a move for yourself. And initially, there was a little bit of doubt about, hey, is this really possible? It's such a hard circuit to pass on usually. But RSI Esports by G Performance proving things otherwise. And they currently are on quite a mission. But the next team that they have to overcome is one Shipsky Racing. And guess what? It's a BMW. Ideally, the BMW should have a lot of strength here at CTMP. This should be the one, Stefan. Here they come. Closing up, getting a good exit after Moss corner. Shipsky are being attacked. They could be making the move right before the S's, and they have done the same. The RSR Esports by G Performance 55 car calmly moves ahead, and it seemed like there wasn't any defense from the Shipsky team.
Yeah, there was no defense, in fact, whatsoever from the Shipsky car, so a tiny bit surprising that they just let them overtake it like that. But once again, looking at the Shipsky car, just lose out of White's corner, just can't keep the traction under their car, and that's just been pretty much the story of every single BMW team thus far, just not being able to keep that car out of slow corners under control.
Yeah, exactly. It's going to be so tricky for them to manage that sort of stuff for every single team. It should be interesting to see how they play it out eventually. It's a long race, this one, with another one yet to go. 49 minutes left in this, and the drama is just piling up. There hasn't been one quiet moment, and our Mac Performance, they are being chased by the Apex Misses 186. And taking a quick look at the lap times, the Apex Misses 186 teams are lapping very quickly. They, in fact, were around 0.5 of a second faster than Mac Performance last time out. Is this real, genuine pace around Mac Performance really saving up a lot of fuel here, Stefan?
I think that is actually a genuine performance right now between those two, because look at that, Koenig goes to the inside, Schlags no defense whatsoever from that, and also a little bit squirrely there through the S's for Schlags. It's going to be interesting now. Now they are 4th place, they have 3rd place ahead of them, they are a little bit faster. Can they stick with them and maybe save a little bit of fuel?
Exactly. While that was going on, we saw Shipsky Racing being passed right there by the Liper Esports team. An interesting move, that a really good battle towards the end of the circuit. Got the move done well, and Shipsky Racing clearly seemingly on a bit of a fuel-saving strategy, letting people go past, staying in the draft, relaxing, having total control of their strategy, and making it work towards the end. Of course, we shall come to strategy sometime later, towards the mid part of the race when the pit window really opens. Now it's just a case of priming everything up, making sure that you're in the right position for the second stint, because that is really where everything could come towards a real close. But Stefan, in the first particular stint, is it really a dead rubber of sorts? Because normally the saying maybe that when you've got everyone closer than they are ever going to be, it's the best place to pass, right? Because everyone is so close to each other. Might as well go for the aggressive and get your moves done right now.
Yeah, exactly. Just get your moves done, get everything out there, lay everything out there, and then see where you are after the pit stop and see if you still can make some moves happen. And I mean, it is possible, it's very easy to do that as well, because the cars that we're seeing right now on screen, they're most definitely gonna be together till the end of the race.
Yeah, exactly. Good strategy right there, coming up into perspective, and you have to manage that out. You just have to make sure that it's an equal balance of sorts everywhere through. Now, meanwhile, Quasar Sim Racing, and look at this there behind the .exe McLaren team. How beautiful is it to see the fire-breathing McLaren being chased down by a Lamborghini? It's a bit symbolic. It's a bit of a change in times of sorts, with the McLaren being a very old but respectable machine. But the McLaren is in a slow car, Stefan. I mean, we saw last time out, at least in endurance spec, IVRA Squire Sims Mode won with the McLaren in the Spa 24 hours. I mean, they made it work somehow.
Yeah, most definitely. The McLaren still has its strengths that the others can't really match, but quite honestly, it's always nice to see when a fire-breathing dragon gets slain.
Yeah, exactly. It's such a beautiful machine, this one, especially in the beautiful green color that .exe have painted out right there. But Quasar too, lovely livery that these guys have got. Really calming blue color, really fun to watch, but it has been a bit of a tough start. Oh, look at this, something's happened in the midfield. Boris Angelovando seems to have made up two positions. No, it's a crash. It's the Apex Missers, I see, who have spun around there just before White's corner. What in the world is going on here?
I wonder if that was with Shipke Racing.
That is intriguing. That is interesting, because we saw the midfield battle being slightly calmer a couple of minutes ago. Now, they've gone full-blown wide. Let's take a look at what happens here. Apex Missers trying to pass the Shipke Racing car. The outside they go. Still clean, still beautiful, still lovely.
Oh
boy.
Still beautiful until it wasn't.
Until very succinctly put there. Just the right way to put that out. Racing incident, very much so. But would you actually put anyone at fault here, Stefan? I think it's just a classic racing incident, this.
Yeah, I think we're gonna see that nicely now from the aerial. You were able to see it quite nicely. Shipke Racing just about left enough room, and the Apex Missers was just a little bit off the apex. It's a racing incident, most definitely. Can't really put a blame on any of those two. Shipke Racing most definitely did give enough room, but yeah, the Apex Missers with a slight miss off the apex makes contact with the Shipke Racing car, and yeah, just sometimes racing happens like that.
Yeah, exactly, and it has led to, in fact, the Shipke Racing car in the pit lane. They've fallen back to P number 12. They clearly have some damage, although they didn't bear the brunt of it. They weren't a part of the major crash. They still have to go into the pit lane. So, bit of a tricky start for Radu Zenov. I hope I've got that correctly. I'm really trying to get it correctly. I hope I will by the end of this one. But yeah, they're in the pit lane at this moment. But now, this battle isn't over yet in the midfield. It's so amazing, right? One battle in the midfield ends, and all of a sudden, you have another one to focus on. Because it's the N-Race Esports team, Maxime Marriott, who's been very impressive throughout the series, closing up on Boris Angelovando. And this is interesting, Stefan. Boris Angelovando was in P20 by the start. He's nursing an ailing shoulder. He's not in 100% condition. But Boris has made up 14 positions at a circuit where it is seemingly very hard to pass. What an incredible performance it has been from the RSR Sport by G Performance driver.
Yeah, most definitely. He has been doing really good, but quite honestly, I haven't been listening too close to you because I just realized that Michael Schlags is all of a sudden in 9th place.
What? Yeah, you're right actually. We're focusing so much on that battle in the midfield, we completely looked over the fact that the championship leader, ladies and gentlemen, Michael Schlags, isn't P number 9. And to put that into context, their major rivals, Team Hersingwell, Matstock Hertzfeld, in the lead. Oh, don't tell me it's a self-spin. Don't tell me it's a self-spin at the slowest part of the circuit. Oh, that is excruciating. That reminds me of Max Biaggi's slow crash at the Czech Republic Grand Prix back in 2005 or something. Slowest corner of the circuit and a self-error. That is painful.
Very painful and very indeed. But yeah, now Schlags 23 seconds back in 9th place. This huge blow to the championship already. Hopes of Mag Performance. I said they're the underdog because they are not the fastest. They are the most consistent, but not the fastest. And then just like that, I might even throw away the championship altogether because now that point swing in favor of Team Heusenfeld is going to be huge.
That is going to be huge. That essentially could be a big blow right there for Mag Performance. They have been so consistent, so clean. I can barely remember them making any mistake, and they've made one where it counts the most. Oh, my heart pains for them. And also for this battle, it's going to be so hard to see this championship battle going anywhere else. But it could be still a two-way fight towards the end. Boris Angelovando has proven that even with a bad shoulder, he can take the car up to good places. Move being made there, right here, by... It seems like this is the Mayor SimSpeed team. They're trying to make positions on the Awesome Motorsport group. Again, we made that joke last time out of Atlanta. It's an AMG Ferrari, but the Awesome Motorsport group doing a good job to defend against Mayor SimSpeed. But ouch, that hurts, Stefan. I mean, the championship battle with this one, effectively, it's just been put over to Hersingweld and RSR Sport by G Performance, the 56 machine. It's not a bad battle by any means of the way. But having a three-way one would be so much better.
It would be so much better, but it most definitely seems like we're not gonna really get it. I mean, it's not gonna be decided at the end of this race, that's for sure. We have just too much points in that second race still to play out for. So mathematically, anything is still possible between those 3-4 drivers. Maybe the 56 is gonna be out of it by the end of this race, but still, it's IVRA, it's the GT Sprint Series. Anything is possible.
Absolutely anything is possible right here. We've seen big drama. We saw championship leaders make a huge error. We saw the team that we expected not to have really the best of results climb up so many places. We saw accidents that we didn't quite expect, to be honest. The car crashing out of the front stretch. It's the IVRA GT Sprint Series, ladies and gentlemen. It may only be the first year, but honestly, anything can happen right here. And of course, after this race too, we have one more reverse grid round coming up. So stick around for that one. But with around 39 minutes to go, I think we're some 5-6 odd minutes away from the pit window opening, which we shall discuss in a bit. But Team Oblivion Racing, you see on your screen, trying to make a move on Mayor SimSpeed. Both very damaged cars from the looks of things. And Oblivion, well, they just have less damage. More downforce towards the end with their rear wing still being fine. And it's an easy slice for them. Just chopping and chipping up away. And Mayor SimSpeed fall down one more position while trying to fight for another one early on. Tricky times for everyone right here in the IVRA GT Sprint Series. And it's been nice and comfortable at the very top. We have to notice Matstock Hertzfeld 2.6 seconds away. And you know the best part, Stefan? They, I think, they have the second best lap time of any team. The fastest one, if I'm not mistaken, is RSR Sports by G Performance number 56. The battle is still on, even for the fastest laps and the championship here.
Yeah, most definitely. I wonder if that lap by Boris Savanda was helped by draft. It does seem so that it was. It just honestly shows how much speed Mats Hutzfeld has in that number 78 Team Heusenfeld Audi, because driving a 16.493 in 35 degrees, so 36 degrees Celsius track temperatures is quite an achievement without draft.
Yeah, seriously, that is some lap as we see Team Oblivion carve their way out ahead of the AMG Ferrari, the Awesome Motorsport Group losing a position, unfortunately, and that just puts them back into the hands of Mayor Simspeed. They had their fight early on. It could be renewed right here, right now. Calm and pleasant times here in the IVRA GT Sprint Series as we see this lovely battle going on in the lower half of the midfield. We've seen everything happen here. We've seen big crashes, we've seen incredible battles, we've seen just about everything here, and we've seen a major change in the championship as well. A really slow crash right there for Mac Performance could very well be the defining factor in the championship battle towards the very end, but we still have a long time to focus and to see what happens. Now, Team Mac Performance find themselves in P number 9, but it's not quite done yet. It's a lovely double camera that Tyler Maxson, our producer, has pulled out for us here. And it is Quasar Sim Racing Hydra, who had that accident early on the first lap, who are getting closer, but a quick look at the lap times makes it seem like, well, Quasar just have the edge by a couple of tenths here and there. They just are using the draft advantage to the best of their abilities.
Yeah, they're most definitely using that quite nicely. Last lap by Garrett Thompson at 17.4, by the way, and Schlags at 17.2. And both of them are chasing down Neil Butler ahead of them as well, who is 8th place, and then there's quite a big gap ahead of Neil Butler for that 8th place, so I don't think really that Mac Performance is going to be much further up the road than that 8th place just ahead of them.
Yeah, exactly, and they're losing time just a little bit, lost a couple of tenths here and there to the chasing Quasar Sim Racing car. So if they have to restart a comeback, it has to be a really strong and mentally focused one for Michael Schlags. Can be very hard, you know, after a crash like this one, just to be distracted, just to not have the right frame of mind. It's going to be interesting to see what what Schlags can do right here, how he can recover from this one and ensure that he gets the best possible result. He's closed up to another machine right here. That's the Butler car. That is going to be Lapsat Racing, and Neil Butler is going to be passed very well by the championship leader. He's not going to force the issue. Just a very calm one. Oh no, he is going to force the issue. Neil Butler goes to the outside line. This is turning out to be an incredible one. Neil Butler said, well, you may be the championship leader, my friend, but I'm not going to let you give this position for granted. And now Quasar attacks trying to go to the inside line. Well, that's a battle for P8, ladies and gentlemen. That is how intense the IVRA GT Sprint Series is. Insane stuff.
And you were able quite nicely to see how much faster that outside line through the second part of S's into the inside line of Whites is, if you can pull that off. Just Butler from nearly quite far, nearly all the way back of the Audi to quite far ahead of that Audi just on the outside line, with Schlags also making a small mistake on the inside over the curb of the SS.
Exactly, Schlags just succumbing under pressure. They make contact at Moss corner. Quasar Sim Racing, Garrett Thompson just sending a lunge in the second half. That didn't work. That clearly did not work. They made contact. They barged into each other. And I hope they haven't got damaged, but Michael Schlags, well, he's not going to be really pleased with that one. He's already had a crash, and now he's been forced into dislike contact. Stefan, how demotivating is that for both of them?
For Michael Schlags, it's going to be extremely demotivating. It's so demotivating that he even goes into pit lane. We have sort of reached the limit, the threshold for a driver switch, even though it is a tiny bit close. We're only 1 minute 20 over the 25-minute mark, and so yeah, Schlags decides that's all he needs to do, and it's going to be interesting now. What are they doing? Are they going to take tires, or is it fuel for them? And it seems like car stays down, it's fuel for them.
Exactly. This is a really good opportunity to speak about strategy, Stefan. What is strategy like here at the CTMP. Normally, we've seen teams go for two different approaches. That is, either tyres and slight fuel, or they just put more fuel on and no tyres. Well, can you explain our viewers what the approaches are like here?
Yeah, it is. It is going to be a split strategy. You're gonna see maybe some people go for lots of fuel and take tires instead at the pit stop strategy, or you're also gonna see people like, for example, the Mac Performance Sim Racing team who took fuel, which means they're gonna drive the tires for an hour, but have minimal fuel load to get to the end.
Interesting. And which approach do you think should work exactly well? As we see a quick replay, that is Lapsat Racing, the Audi, the number 11 car. Coming into Clayton Corner, lovely place. This, too much speed, is it? I think they, oh yeah, they have carried too much speed and they're on the grass. Inevitably, if you're on the grass, expect to see the other side of the track. Ouch.
Yeah, quite nicely held though until he was all the way at Quebec. So that's a good save though, didn't hit the wall. Can continue without any damage. And to go back to the strategy thing, it really depends on what your drivers are better at. Are they better with their fuel load, or are they better with their tire wear? Like for example, VSVR, like a lot of other teams are doing in this series. They're creating setups for not only fuel pit stop, but also for the tire pit stop, where you only take tires in your driver change. So it really depends how is the setup to the car, to the tires, to the track. And obviously, if you're good on wear, you're always going to go for the fuel strategy, because it's a lighter fuel load, you're going to save the tires even more. So it honestly, as said, it just completely depends on what your drivers are capable of doing and what they're comfortable with doing.
Excellent piece of insight right there by Stefan Schlacker, who, folks, if you're not aware, used to race for Solar Vision Racing in the IVRA GT Sprint Series, and they won at Zandvoort earlier on this year. Shame to see that program not continuing, but now then, there's a battle on the split screen. First time on the IVRA GT Sprint Series that we are seeing the split screen. Here, there's a crash, though. That is a big one. That, folks, has to be the Team Vikings. No, that's not Team Vikings. That is Team Vikings, in fact, yeah. They had the qualifying ban early on. They had to carve their way up, and now they're in the wall and back on the grass. What in the world happened here?
I think that might have been just an unlucky coincidence with the Awesome Motorsports group ahead of them also making a mistake. So let's have a look if that's exactly what is going to happen with the 777 of Martiakola. Going into Clayton, yeah, a little bit wide for all of them. Woohoo! What was that? Was a Quasar going past there?
I think that was Oblivion coming
past. Oh, it was Oblivion, yeah.
Yeah. Man, Marty just carried a lot of speed. That was proper guts heading into Clayton Corner. But guts, well, it led to him being in the wall. And that is a huge accident for Team Vikings. A big damage one for them. And now, oh, look at this one. Look at this one. This is a proper all-star battle here in the IVRA GT Sprint Series. As we see the pit stops beginning. Mac Performance versus Liper Esports versus RSR Esports by G Performance, the 55 car piloted by Michael Stokebauer. This is a battle that I've been waiting to see for a long time. Liper send it to the outside line towards the final part of the track. Send it, they get the cut back once again. They're gonna have the inside line. The Lamborghini is forced to the inside line now once again. The cutback doesn't quite work out, so Lippert will try at turn number 1. They could be going wheel to wheel once again right here. And they do send it to the outside line. It's not the easiest place in the world to make a move here, quite like Road Atlanta, turn number 1. And now Mac Performance is lurking in the background. This is turning out to be 1-1, and RSR over speed. They're in the grass as well. What's happening today?
Wow. They even kept it out of the wall, Michael Stöckbauer. And the funny thing is, what the Mac Performance Sim Racing team is, that's actually not a battle for them. They are a lap down from this.
Yikes, that is just hard stuff. Oh my goodness me, what a day it is turning out to be here at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. For some, a jolly good Sunday afternoon when they can go out there and express themselves for racing. For the others, much like the RSR number 55 car, oh, the agony. They were involved in such a brilliant battle, and I think there's no other way to put it, Stefan. They cracked under pressure.
Yeah, most definitely did seem like that as we go on to replay for that one. Just, I don't know, let's have a look. Did they have a little bit of a moment over the crest? No, just, as you said, just too much speed through Clayton, and they most definitely did pay the price.
Yeah, 6 degrees banking right there, Clayton Corner. You have to use the camber to your advantage, and they didn't. They just carried too much speed, and they went for a bit of a detour, became the world's fastest lawnmower. Didn't quite work out. Pit cycles, by the way, are on right here. The Apex misses 186. Something has happened to them, apparently. We'll get to see that. But Michael Stokbar, of course, in the pit lane and all the other cars too. Lipo Esports White, the RSR 55, the Quasar, Hydra, .exe, the McLaren, everyone making their pit stops and just making the cut. The drive time limit here is, of course, 35 minutes. It's a different way of calculating it. It's more on the average lap time rather than the time on the clock. So seemingly everyone should be just about all right as you see the pit window coming towards the very end. Driver swaps, of course, has come around once again. And Stefan, how big of a change is it to have a second driver in the team? Can it completely rejuvenate a car? Say, for instance, like the RSR 55, who've had a bit of a tough end towards this sin. Maybe, perhaps, when we have Pisano coming into that car, can they see a complete change in fortunes?
Yeah, that can be most definitely a thing, but I find it funny that it's still quite some confusion about the drive time in this series, because it actually is the other way around. It's a minimum drive time of 25 minutes that driver has to be in the car with their average calculated lap time for it to be classified. It's not a maximum drive time, it's a minimum drive time, and I have to say it, we were also part of a mistake there, because at Donington we were just qualified because I was 20 seconds short of those 25 minutes.
Oops. Must have been excruciating one, that. That's such a hard one to comprehend. Just like this one. Vincent Ravelsloot spinning for the Apex Misses 186. Has been a real torrid day. And it's the RSR Esports car that just got caught up a little bit. It might end up losing a second here. But nothing too major. Still a big distraction in their fight to come up to P number 1. Meanwhile, .exe, the McLaren, we see them cruising along in the midfield. They currently find themselves in P number 9. And it's been a big improvement for .exe. I think I last saw them around P11, P12, somewhere around that lines. They have made up a couple of positions here and there and are very stable, very smart, and are very measured in the midfield. Good to see the fire-breathing McLaren do such a decent job as the pit stops end. Now, Stefan, it's going to be a case of observing the lap times, isn't it? And understanding which team was on which strategy. Because some teams, well, if they've gone for fresher tyres, it could be a real advantage for them.
Quite honestly, I don't think that a single team has taken tires in this pit stop. Not even Heusenfeld did take tires, so... and they were, I think, always a team that did take tires in their pit stops, as we have a side-by-side here between Leipert and RSR.
Yep, absolutely. Leipert trying to go for a move on the outside line, very smartly deciding not to do that, with the RSR 56 piloted now by Jan Nosek, defending his line incredibly well. And that's Jan has got a while behind the wheel of the Leipert car. He's waiting for something, and I think it's just going to be a clear sprint towards the very end. So there's enough time for the Leipert Esports white car just to find the right moment and get a move on, because it seems highly unlikely that they are going to close up to the top two, who, let's be honest, have been in a completely different league of their own today. Meanwhile, .exe Esports Neon Green, they are being closed up by the Lapsat Racing Team 17 Ferrari car. And now, this is a very interesting team, folks. Lapsat Racing have had two different cars here. They have one Audi and they have one Ferrari. The Ferrari being the number 17 one that you are seeing on the right-hand side of the split screen. And you might be wondering, yeah, but why have two different cars as a part of one whole team? Well, the reason behind that is that the drivers in both the machines, different styles suit them. As we see the Ferrari trying to make the move on the McLaren, much like Formula 1 in 2007. Oh no, the spin! Well, how many times have we seen this Ferrari spinning in the last couple of years? Not a big surprise this one, but a big surprise to see Lapsat Racing, the ones in the wall. They've been such a well-disciplined team. We were just speaking about why they've chosen two different cars, and the Ferrari has put a wheel on the grass. Stefan, the car just twists violently.
Well, that's a commentator's course if I've ever seen one. But yeah, Martin Hobson just a little bit too wide there, and it is a little bit weird that a left-hander before Moss, the outside cuts into the track a little bit, and I think that's what caught Martin Hobson out there, and that's why he crashed sadly into the wall.
Yeah, exactly. Such a hard incident, this one. And we see the ailing Team Vikings team right now as well. Oh man, it's so sad to see them with their broken rear wing lumping around, sadly. See what's happened to them. Harry Killine, another incident it seems. Team Vikings had that crash early on. Okay, nice and clean. Fast on number 1. And it's Clayton Corner once again. Who are we kidding? It's no surprise, isn't it, anymore? Clayton Corner, I think, Stefan. I think it's been, what, 6, 7 accidents that we've seen here today itself. Such a tricky corner to manage. Downhill, descending, you have to carry so much speed over there. Wild corner, this one. No one seems to have mastered it as such. And Team Vikings, once again, being the next team, being the next on the list to suffer through the wrath of the next one. Of the Clayton Corner, my apologies. Drama
yeah, most definitely. I mean, it is a reason why this part of the track has been completely paved over on the outside. It is such a tricky corner. You don't have any reference of where your braking point is, where your turning point is, because there is just nothing that you can take as a reference point there. And so it's super easy to make those kind of mistakes.
Yeah, exactly. Such an easy track to make easy mistakes on. You've got grass everywhere, and of course we must also remember it's not like the new modern day circuits we've got runoff every single way. We've just got grass, right? And you know the thing with grass on iRacing, you put one wheel there. It's like the ice skating rinks of Canada, rather every street and corner in Canada in the winter because it's so snowy there. You put one wheel on it, spinning around. There's no way whatsoever that you can recover the car. It is just that tricky. Meanwhile, Team Oblivion, the correction this one, it's not damage on the car, it actually is just their nose bonnet. It just looks like that. It seems like it's slightly damaged, but it's just a livery design. I must say, quite a beautiful car, Team Oblivion. I said early on that they might have damage. They actually don't. They are cruising along, they are very fine, and they are trying to close up on the awesome Motorsport Group Ferrari. But while things are actually turning out to be slightly quieter here, why don't we just jump behind the wheel of the Lamborghini and see what this battle is like from their perspective, an onboard view of this battle for this, I think, ladies and gentlemen, is P number 13. So let's take a quick clap with Team Oblivion Racing and see what they see in this battle against the awesome Motorsport Group Ferrari. So A clean and clear lap for Team Oblivion Racing in their pursuit of the awesome Motorsport Group Ferrari. What a lap that one. What an amazing circuit that is. What a clean and beautiful track. I mean, it was made back in the 1950s, and just like all the tracks of that time, of that era, it is hardly scripted out with lasers and through proper big blueprints. It's just like they saw a farm, they saw a big property, they said, yeah, let's just put a beautiful road around here, let's go racing. And that's what they did, and that's been the case with so many amazing racetracks all across North America. Bit of an unpopular opinion, this one, but I think North American road courses, in general, they're more exciting to drive than the European ones. What do you reckon, Stefan? I mean, you've got Road Atlanta, you've got the CTMP, you've got Road America as well. You have got what else have you got? VIR.
I don't know. I mean, it comes with North America. They don't have the FIA standards. They don't have to oblige to that. And so that's a reason why a lot of tracks have stayed old school. And while old school has a good thing, you still need to have those track evolutions, because racing cars change. Nowadays, cars have much more downforce. They're much more powerful than they ever used to be. They have much more mechanical grip than they used to have. And so you need to have that track evolution to make the tracks fit the cars of present time, so that they can generate great racing. The good thing for a track like Mosport is that it has such great flow, and it still provides such great racing, because somehow, even though it was created in the 1950s, it tailors also towards great downforce cars, and that's why it still works. But with a lot of old school tracks, that's not the case.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely spot on with that. And of course, our request has been granted. Live standings, live points. Here's a... Oh no!
Oh!
That was, ladies and gentlemen, N-Race Esports. That is a huge impact into the wall. We'll focus on the live standings in a little bit. We must take a look at this crash.
Oh my goodness!
And the second one as well. That is the Apex Missers. Vincent Ravelso having his second crash of the day. Wait a minute. Are we seeing the red mist here at CTMP? What in the world has happened? Two huge accidents in the space of less than a minute. And N-Race Esports, who were so good throughout the season in their pursuit for P5, their front end is absolutely battered.
Well, at least now we can see what the BMW has under the hood. But yeah, that was just violent. I don't know, did they hit the grass or something? Or, yeah, they just lost track of where they were.
It's that classic mistake, isn't it? It is just that classic mistake. That's what happened with N-Race Esports, so unfortunately. And the same can be said with Apex Missers. I, heading into this broadcast, had absolutely no inkling that we would see a car spun around at the home stretch. And we've seen that twice. And we still have one more race left to go. What a crazy day it is turning out to be at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Well, full credit to you, Stefan. And you mentioned that there will be some carnage. Here it is.
Yeah, it is just the nature of CTMP, if you're honest about it. It's just such a narrow track. It's so easy to make those mistakes, and those little mistakes just get punished so extremely violent in the case like we saw just a few moments ago. So, yeah, it continues like this. It's a great venue for championship deciders, but it can also turn into a very bad venue quite quickly. But it has been a great venue for the Hoisenveld team. They have now, as you can see in the live point standings, taking over the lead by 18 points.
Yep, smooth transition this one. Team Hoisenveld on the trot. Now, let me tell you something, ladies and gentlemen. Last time out at Road Atlanta, Hoisenveld made history by becoming the only team to win 2 races. I mean, all the races essentially in an IVRA GT Sprint Series weekend. That was history in one way. I think Team Hoisenveld are going to redefine history once again by becoming the only team to win 4 consecutive races on the trot here in the IVRA GT Sprint Series. That is pure and utter domination. The gap around here, I think it is around, what, 18 points to the number 56 RSR Esport by G Performance team. it is doable. RSR Sport by G Performance can still very well close up that gap and get things done in the second race. It is far from over. It is far from done. But, Stefan, 4 races in a row. I can't wrap my head around it. That is just absolutely mind-boggling stuff. The way Heusinger have just had this resurrection in the second half. And they've been working a lot on their setups. They've been working a lot on the car. It's just being out there flying. Oh, wait a minute. Before you say something, Stefan, I'm so sorry to cut in there. The only 2 teams to put in a lap time under the 1 minute 17 barrier right now, Team Heusinger and Mag Performance. And the fastest lap of this race also set in by the Heusinger number 78 team, Max Riedmuller, behind the wheel of that car. Wow.
Yeah, it just shows Heusinger how dominant they really are, as the 199 has to go into pit lane with the extent of damage that they have. Yeah, received from that unfortunate crash. But yeah, the 78, it's just Team Heusinger. Let's be honest about this. And I don't think there's a team out there, apart from the pro teams, that works as hard as Team Heusinger.
Yeah, seriously, they ended up winning in the IVRA Club Sport Series yesterday as well. Became champions in 2 different classes, GT4s and TCR. So it's been a big weekend for Team Heusinger all around. Could be adding another feather to their cap here today. It'd be interesting. But the other team, Stefan, who also had a really awesome lap time, Archer Brother Esports, the second team of the others, to also put a lap time under the 1 minute 17s. Shall come to that, because that is an even more damaged Ferrari. Lapsat Racing number 17. Second big crash of the day. I spoke about N-Race Esports having a bad front end. That Ferrari, Stefan, is almost dead with the front end. That is gone.
Yeah, and look at that, just ever so slightly on the grass on the outside. That's exactly what can happen. We saw Mats Torgi Hutzfeld having a moment over the grass there on the outside when we tried to go on board for a lap with him in qualifying. And Lapsat Racing shows what can happen if you're not able to save that car.
Yeah, no chance at all, as we see this lovely battle between .exe and Team Oblivion. Well, it's clear, folks. If you had to file a court case on the grass of CTMP, at least if this was a real race, you could be charging it for $1 million and millions of dollars, because they have really caused so much of damage. And imagine if this had been a real race, would have been such a costly affair. This, thankfully, it's only the sim. The only damage is going to be psychological, and we're treating as if it's a small thing, but no, psychological damage can be huge. Hopefully the teams and drivers in the right frame of mind after encountering such tricky incidents here at the Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Team Oblivion, by the way, are flickering. They're having a few internet issues. They hopefully should be fine. It can be a big distraction for all the other teams to see a car with internet issues. But they might be having internet issues, but they are not short of any pace whatsoever. Closing up to Team.exe right now. What do you reckon, Stefan? Do you think we're going to get a move right here?
We might as well see one. They're closing in. Team Oblivion might be given the inside. No, they're going to go to the outside. It's going to give them the inside for a left-hander. Don't even need that. Never mind.
Oh, yeah, they just let them pass. That is interesting. Towards this end of the race, I thought they would be fighting more hard, but that's interesting to see. .exe just letting them go, just letting them be very calm at the very top. But yeah, coming back to the very top, in fact, Archer Brother Esports, a quick word on them. We haven't quite spoken about them enough, unfortunately, but they've just had a very quiet race, a very calm race, currently in P number 2. Also one of the very few teams to set a lap time under the 1 minute 17 barrier. And yeah, they might have a 12-second gap to Team Heusinger, but they're just holding on very easily, and that is the best that they could do. Very, very smart, very, very well played right there, my Archer brothers. I believe you have a special word on your favorite car, Stefan. What's happened to the BMWs here on the whole? I mean, seemingly, they would have had an advantage here this weekend.
I mean, what hasn't happened to the BMWs out there today? Let's be honest about it. We had 2 BMWs racing, both of them are out. So that's pretty much the story summed up on that. Yeah, I don't know. it just continues the curse of the BMW for the teams that are driving with it. Just can't seem to extract the real possibility of the BMW. Speaking about it, Chipsky Racing back out again, 17 laps down.
Wait.
They are driving for the last 8 minutes.
Why not? That is the fighting spirit. Chipsky Racing doing an epic job. Just coming back out, they know that nothing can be salvaged from this one. They know there's no point. But they're still going to go out there. They're still going to drive. And if anything, get a good hang of the circuit, you know, because there's going to be another race coming up right after this one. The more drive time you get, perhaps it's going to be better for them just to get a hang of it, just to be in the right frame of mind for the second one. And remember, they need to classify for this one in order to be finishing in the very end of the grid. And that'll give them pole position for race number 2. And that can be invaluable. We've seen CTMP, well, it's possible to make moves here, but it's not the easiest thing in the world. Pole position for Chipsky Racing in the BMW, then the next one could be invaluable. Meanwhile, it's a sister versus sister battle here. Lamborghini versus Audi. Liper Esports losing up to RSR Esports by G Performance. Pisano under attack by Gottwald. Goes to the outside line, very smart there. Liper Esports doing a good job. And Pisano too. We saw his teammate Boris Angelovando, if I'm not mistaken, made that mistake early on. Just carried too much speed right there and found himself crunching into that wall. Under pressure, Pisano has been able to sustain it very well this time out. Quick word, in fact, on all the other teams as well. The RSR 55 machine, as you can see on the screen, is in the top 5, but the 56 car also in P number 3. Jan Nozek doing a good job. N-Race Esports are in the pit lane after their double incidents. Mayer Simspeed too, with Manuel Mayer behind the wheel, finding themselves down at pit road. With Lapsat Racing, Team 11, 14 laps down. Chipsky Racing, 18 laps down. CXR, 21. And now, Lippert send it to the outside line. They almost make contact. And Pisano defends with such confidence. Gottwald might not be impressed. But this is the kind of racing that we all tune into to watch here on RaceSpotTV for the IVRA GT Sprint Series. You can't quite tell. It's been one whole season where they've been fighting with this intensity, and they will continue to do so down to the very wire. Only 6 odd minutes left to go. If Lippert have to get this done, they have to get this done right about now. Meanwhile, time for the second launch. Round number 2 in this battle between Lippert Esports and RSR Esports by G Performance, the 55 machine. On the whole for Team RSR, it's going to be quite a decent race this one, with them not having the best of qualifying positions. 56 started in 20th, now in P number 3, and the 55 also having a pretty decent run. So on the whole, RSR Esports by G Performance having a decent weekend, but it's still hurting well with their control, with their grasp on the championship at the top. Meanwhile, here comes Lippert. Once again to the outside line they go. Swooping here, trying to make something work for themselves. And RSR will block that off. They make contact almost. And Lippert are spun around. The difficulties of battle. They unfortunately have cracked under pressure. Man, what a tremendous battle it was turning out to be until this very moment. Stefan, the only way I can put this one is things boiling over. Things boiling over under battle when everything is so intense. Lippert Esports made that critical error, and more than anything, it has cost them time and places.
That mistake was expected. RSR by G Performance most definitely did race them hard the second time around through the S's, and it felt like Gottwald got a little bit too heated in that moment, in that battle, and lost it on the braking, sadly. So he lost in total, I think, 2 positions there, and now is down in 7th.
Big accident there for Lippert Esports. It could have been so huge. The racing, of course, just like life, about so many ifs, buts, should-haves, would-haves. Now they just have to put their head down and focus on the challenge at hand. How many positions can they make up? Gonna be very tricky. Nick Madsen, of course, is the car who we are focusing on. It's a driver, I'm sorry, who we are focusing on right now. Madsen, of course, racing for Team Mac Performance. The championship leader is heading into this one, but no longer that, as the live timing and the live championship standings will eventually show us. He is chasing Richard Small for Quasar Sim Racing Hydra. And a quick word for them. I think, Stefan, Quasar have recovered really well. They had that big crash early on in the very first lap. Richard Small has done a very good job to get that car in P5.
Yeah, both of the drivers have done a very good job. Guy Thompson, the second driver, or first driver rather, for that team, so have done a very good job to recover that Lamborghini back into the top 5. But obviously now they're under pressure from your championship leader going into this round, and most definitely Mac Performance, that number 14 machine of Nick Madsen, wants back that top 5.
Yeah, exactly. And what do you reckon about Mac Performance, Stefan? Do you think, on the whole, they can salvage much from race number 2?
Well, race number 2 is most definitely gonna mix up all the cards again, and it's gonna be a playing field, because let's be honest, they're gonna start ahead of Team Heusenwald. So if they can get this 5th place away from Quasar, I think, if I got the numbers correctly in my head, they're gonna stay still ahead of Team Heusenwald. And then it's just anybody's game at that point for the championship lead.
Okay, this is interesting. This is interesting. So if we actually do see Mac Performance get this position, Heusenwald may not really have the advantage in terms of points, you know, at the end of the day. They may still have to outscore Team Mac Performance, which, let me be honest, is no mean feat. The live point standings will give us a better idea once we're done with this race, but that should be interesting. And so it is very clear. Nick Madsen is aware of this. He knows this. He wants to get this position. He only has 1 more minute, ideally, to get this done. I think we should have 1 more lap at the end of this one. And indeed, here comes the live standings. We see the Mac Performance team in 2nd place with 1,841 points. What kind of difference will it make if they get to P number 5 eventually? Just to confirm, doing some quick mental maths around here, that will give them... wait a minute. Oh yeah, that'll give them 9 more points. That'll get them very, very close. So that will put them with a gap of only 9 points behind Team Heusenwald. So this should be interesting. That is if they get the position though. Otherwise, that gap is even bigger for Team Mac Performance to close up. And for Team Heusenwald, who've been in such a rhythm, who've won 3 races on the trot, now going to make it 4, it's going to be very, very hard for Team Mac Performance to dethrone them and see what happens. But Stefan, what a performance it has been from one Team Heusenwald. We saw them toiling away in the off-season. We saw them working very hard. Ever since their teammates actually backed out of the championship, somewhat interestingly, the number 78 has just been a completely different beast, hasn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. What those guys have been able to extract from the car was incredible. By the way, it's also incredible that we are on the last lap just now, because they crossed the start-finish line with 2 seconds to spare.
Goodness me, that got properly close around here. And also, meanwhile, folks, while we see Team Heusenwald cruising, this battle is slightly heating up between Archer Brother Esports and Sports with G Performance of 56. Only 4 seconds, but that's not going to matter right now. That battle is still pretty much sealed up. Leipert are closing out to RSR 55, but that's also P number 4. The focus, the spotlight, the attention, whatever you like to call it.
Sorry, Mac Performance in pit lane. They have miscalculated their fuel.
Oh my goodness me! That's for the championship, folks. Team Mac Performance have to pit on the final lap. This is absolutely calamitous for them. The championship leaders coming into this one have miscalculated the fuel. What a spot that is, Stefan. Absolutely incredible. And this just means that the team that you're watching right now, Heusenwald, they are in prime position off the final corner, winning race number 1 here at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And with that blow to Mac Performance, it is well and truly right there for them. They've got 2 fingers on the championship. Team Heusenwald on a roll. And behind them, Archer Brother Esports in the 202 car doing a stunning job getting their second P2 of the championship. What a result it is for them. And RSR Esports for G Performance, the number 56. You have to give it to them. P number 3. What a performance, what a recovery drive, but it's not over yet. We shall come to the final standings after we see this battle closed out, and we shall speak about MAC Performance in depth as well. But Team Oblivion Racing are closing up. It's going to be too far for them, I can imagine. Not close enough. They have been fighting with Austin Motorsport Group from the very beginning. Unfortunately, not getting P9, but Team AMG will be very, very pleased with a very well-measured P10 finish. Goodness me. What just happened here, Stefan? Okay, what do we focus on first? It's going to be a bit of a tricky moment, this one, because we have to speak about Team Hersingwell and their incredible drive, winning by 13 seconds. But MAC Performance, they ran out of fuel. And you know where MAC Performance finished with that extra pit stop? P number 7. Ouch.
I think it's even P number 8 here in the very end for Nick Madsen, and that's just exactly those 2 seconds that they were able to finish up the second last lap, Team Heussenfeld. But you have to give it to them, Heussenfeld. You said they're with 2 fingers on the trophy. Well, I'm gonna say they're with a full hand on that trophy, and I don't really think that MAC Performance has much that they can do against that 78 machine anymore.
Utter drama, heartbreak everywhere if you're Team MAC Performance. They had that slow crash early on, then this. It's just piling on from them, just piling on from them, but it's just getting better for Team Hersingwell and for Max Riedmuller and Max Hertzfeld. They win race number 1 right here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park by 17 seconds, believe you me. What a commanding drive. Liam Matthews for Archer Brother Esports, they have put in a shift of the championship. They finish in P number 2, probably the joint best performance of the season. Jan Nosek for the number 56 RSR Esport by G Performance is in 3rd. And what a comeback. They guys started up in P number 20. Hats off to them, what a drive. Anthony Pisano in P number 4 for the 55 RSR car. They too putting in quite a recovery shift. The same can be said for one Richard Small. Quasar Sim Racing Hydra having that crash early on and recovering to a top 5 finish. That, ladies and gentlemen, is a top 5 full of brilliant drives right there, I have to say. Really commanding, really impressive stuff. Live at Esports White, we saw them getting the maximum screen time in this one, being involved in battles everywhere. They end up finishing in P6. Larry Steinmetz for the Apex Missiles 185, they had better luck. They finished in P number 7. Their teammates, not so much, unfortunately. Nick Madsen for MAC Performance, the heartbreak. They ran out of fuel on the final lap. Then had that crash. I'm just gutted for them right now. They finished in P number 8. Fern Hundertmark for the Awesome Motorsport Group, eking out a very good result for them, finishing in P number 9. And Vitor Brass in 10th for Team Oblivion. Matthew Briggs for .exe in the McLaren taking out a P number 11 finish, with Aaron Ackles, the second Quasar Sim Racing car, finishing in P number 12. And well, the Roaring Chicken Nuggets may be a lap behind, but they have finished up in P number 13. Next up, Vincent Ravelsloot for the Apex Missiles 1H6. I'm feeling very sad for them. Such a bad race for them, unfortunately. Hopefully, they bounce back in the next one. Team Lapsat number 15, Martin Hobson in 15th place for them. Harry Kaline for Team Vikings, recovering up to P16, having a few incidents here and there, but still pretty decent on the whole. And then we come up to the teams that really had an utter disaster. Valentin Play for N-Race Esports, 17th after that big crash at Clayton Corner. Then Lapsat Racing Team 11, the Audi. Then Manuel Mayer for Mayer SimSpeed Performance in P19. And Radu Zenovinu for Shipsky Racing coming up in P number 20. And then of course CXR Project Black A having a torrid start to at the very early stages of the race. They finish up in P number 21. And the fastest lap set of course by Jan Nosek of Team RSR on lap number 7. Oof, chaotic race this one, Stefan. We're just going to have our interviews coming in right about now, but Well, what are your thoughts on this race? We saw just about everything.
Yeah, we saw just about everything, and also with the mistake the Mac Performance did there in the last lap. They are now only third in the championship. RSR Esports by G Performance at 56, 9th, second place, the hottest pursuit of that Team Huizenveld. And quite honestly, it's all about Team Huizenveld and can they stop anybody.
Exactly. It's going to be so interesting to see what happens here. Huizenveld on a roll, very much so. And now, let's have a word with them. Let's have a chat with Max Tog Hertzfeld, the winner of this race with Team Huizenveld. Let's bring him in for a quick interview. Mats, Sommel here. Man, what a drive. I'm pretty sure you're aware of this, but you've become the only team in IVRA GT Sprint competition history to get 4 wins on the trot. Insane stuff, mate. Many congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's a nice record, but I think at the moment this doesn't matter. We have to concentrate on the last race now, and yeah.
Yeah. No, but what a drive, Mats. What is that special ingredient that you guys have? And what has changed? Because we saw, I think, after Daytona, Team Huizenveld has just transformed. You guys are on a proper roll here.
Honestly, I don't know. I think Road Atlanta and also this track are really difficult tracks, and you have to be really consistent. Mistakes are not allowed on those tracks, and yeah, we try to be consistent, and yeah, at the moment the luck is on our side, but yeah, it's difficult to judge now. The championship standings are really tight, and yeah, we need another clean race now.
Yeah, exactly. It's really worked out well for you, Mats. Just one last question before we let you go and prepare for race number 2. What do you reckon is going to happen? Of course, we know that setup changes are a big factor, but you have to start all the way at the back. That's going to be really hard, isn't it?
Yeah, I think at this track there's no overtaking opportunity, no traditional place, no hairpin. So yeah, I think we have to really, yeah, it depends on a really clean race, and but at the moment I have no idea how to overtake, and yeah, but that will be Max task now, and I hope he will do well as in the last races.
It'd be fun. Mats, finally, who would you like to give a shout out to before we let you go?
Firstly, of course, to the Team Huizenveld, and also that was my task for today, to Team 5-Star, because yeah, we are working quite yeah, strong together to get the setup and to get the car fast. So yeah, thank you to Max Fritz, who is watching the stream right now, and yeah, that's it.
Congratulations, Mats. Many, many congratulations for this win, and all the best for the next one.
Yeah, thank you.
That was Max Tog Hertzfeld, ladies and gentlemen, winner for Team Huizenveld in the 78 car. Then, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to have Team Archer Brothers. So let's actually bring them in. It'll be Stefan Schlacker joining the Team Archer Brother drivers.
You've been waiting for... Oh, okay.
Yeah, Samuel Robson here of the Archer Brothers. Quite an honestly great performance by you guys. Were you expecting anything of that sort?
I suppose going into it, no. But Sam put an excellent lap in at the start, in qualifying, and P2 was a bit of a surprise, but we got the lap in early and track time started going up, so that's where we stayed. And then Sam put an excellent stint in, probably the best stint we've done all season between us, and then we built up such a gap then up to P3. It was just about me trying to get around the track and holding on.
Yeah, most definitely. Now, a little bit of a different set of points for you guys. Not something you're used to, having to drive through the field. How are you going to tackle that second race?
Honestly, we don't know what we're going to do because our setup is definitely not suited for overtaking. So I think we're just going to have to do what we did in this first race, you know. If we keep it clean, let everyone else have all the issues and work our way through. Just have some fun. Last race of the season. It's party time.
Party time indeed, and quite honestly, we've seen a lot of crashes throughout this first race, so keeping it clean probably will already get you quite far through the field. Now, guys, before we let you go, anyone who you want to thank?
So yeah, a shout out to all the Archer Brother boys, to us, the sponsors, Forge Line, Team Tech, Goal Sim Gear. Shout out to you guys and the IVRA guys, because we've had a lot of fun this year, and we hope to do it again next year because it's a great event and everyone should check it out.
Absolutely. Many congratulations, guys. Really, really pleasing to see you up in P number 2. All the best for race number 2, guys. Should be
Thanks
interesting.
a lot, T-Mill. Thanks a lot for this series.
Cheers, guys. That, ladies and gentlemen, was
Enjoy the
Team
second race.
Archer Brothers Esports. Really good to see them right here. Next up, we're actually going to have, it's going to be the RSR Esports by G Performance number 56 team. So let's actually bring them in for a second. That's going to be Boris Angelovando right here with us. Boris, man, quite a recovery drive this one from P number 20. How satisfying is this?
Well, definitely not the way we wanted to do it, but we're happy with the result. Unfortunately, we had a couple of cars slow down on their outlaps because it's pretty tricky coming out of the pits with cold tires, and that lost us a couple seconds, which made all the difference there between P2 and P3 at the end.
Yeah, exactly. But still, nevertheless, a very, very good result for you. P number 3. It's looking decent. I mean, it's still possible mathematically in the championship for you. What's the approach going to be like for race number 2?
Push as hard as we can and make sure we're P1 at the end. That's the best chance that's going to give us to win the championship. So that's what we got to do, and then let everything else play out.
Boris, just separately, how are you doing right now? We had a chat. Your shoulder isn't quite in the best of conditions. How tricky was it for you to drive on in this one?
Yeah, I haven't been able to heal for some reason, and maybe it's because I'm still putting in laps because I can't get away from iRacing. I'm hooked. I had to turn down my force feedback quite a bit, which definitely has affected what you feel, the road texture and all that. It makes it a little bit more difficult, but trying my best.
It should be interesting. All the best for race number 2, mate. Should be fun. Let's hope it goes just the way you want it to. And finally, mate, who would you like to thank for this one, for this podium?
As always, I'd like to thank our sponsors, G Performance, FHN, Bud Kicker, and Velasquez Engineering.
Awesome. Boris, all the very best for race number 2, mate. Have a good one.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen, Boris Angelovando for RSR Esport by G Performance, finishing up in P number 3. Challenging one, this one. Let's actually bring in Team Mag Performance. We usually don't get in drivers and teams who don't finish in the top 3, but this one is for the championship. We have to have a word with them. So let's bring in Nick Matson and Michael Schlacks very quickly. Nick, I'll start with you. That must be a really painful one, didn't it?
Yeah, it's a hard one to eat, but we try to stay focused and keeping on getting a good result here in race 2. And yeah, this time it was our time to calculate everything wrong and make some mistakes. And yeah, quite stressful to race 2, but we keep the mood up and try our best to get a good result in the end.
Hopefully it goes that way. Michael, what just happened there towards the end? It was so dramatic. It was so quick. What did you guys miscalculate your fuel or something?
Yeah, we had
that's
we
tough.
had some problem because yeah, the fuel was very precise, and after the car that hit us, we had a slightly more use of the fuel, and yeah, I did an error too because we struggled in that point with the tires grip, and yeah, it's not our day in race 1, but maybe in race 2. Let's see, guys. Let's see.
Hopefully it works out that way. Finally, guys, who would you like to give a shout out to in general? And what's your approach for the next one?
I'll give a shout out to the guys who organized this series. It's a really great series to be in, and hopefully we'll come back even stronger for the next one. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll try our best, and as ever, big thanks to the guys who make this series possible. And yeah, we will do our best, everything we have.
Should be good, guys. All the very best for the next one.
Thank you, mate. Thank you all.
And ladies and gentlemen, Nick Madsen and Michael Schlacks from the MAG Performance Sim Racing team. And now, folks, it is time for a quick break. But before we go for a quick break, finally, Stefan, your final thoughts from race number 1, and what do you expect from race number 2?
Well, incredible dominant performance, obviously, by the 78. Quite a misfortune from the MAG Performance team, setting up for quite an interesting second race because of the championship standings that we have to face now. But it could all go very quickly the different way once again with the reverse grid of the second race. So, yeah, even though the point standings might not look like that, still everything is possible.
Absolutely, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go anywhere. After a rather short break, we shall be back for the final race of the season. Reverse grid should be fun, should be incredible. Stick around, folks, on RaceSpotTV. Give us a like, give us a follow, and subscribe to us. We are going to be back in a very short time for the final race, the last round of the IVRA GT Sprint Series. Don't go anywhere.
game. It's a rich thing.
A beautiful Saturday afternoon in Ontario. This is it. This is going to be the best one, the final one, the ultimate one. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the final round of the IVRA GT Sprint Series here at the Canadian Tire Mosport Park. We are heading in for the final race of the series, and this is a reverse grid one. Apart from the race win at stake, apart from a lot of pride at stake, we also have the championship at stake. In the last race, Team Hurstingwell became the first ever team in the IVRA GT Sprint Series to win 4 consecutive races on the trot. With this, Stefan says they have one hand on the championship. However, there is one more race left, and this is the ultimate one, the most perilous one. This is the reverse grid. Round 12 of 12. This is going to be the one. My name, of course, is Samuel Aurora, and I'm joined by Stefan Schlacker, the amazing co-commentator that I have here today with me. And in the producer's booth, it is Tyler Maxon working his magic through with the cameras. And I'm going to bring Stefan in right now. And Stefan, oh boy, what a race this promises to be. And I'm not just using generic commentator words to hype this up. What a race this genuinely offers to be.
Well, it's most definitely going to be one of the most different races that you're going to see if you haven't seen a reverse grid yet. You have the fastest car, Team Heusenfeld, in the last place, sort of, on the grid. And you have the slowest car, iRacing Esports, in first place. And the thing is, I think Team Heusenfeld will have a much different challenge this time around, because maybe their car isn't set up quite good enough for driving through the field.
Exactly, it should be interesting to see how they play this out. The grid, meanwhile, iRacing Esports, last team to classify for the first race. They are in pole position. Team Vikings in second place. Lapsat Racing with Martin Hobson behind the wheel in P number 3. That is the Ferrari. Then Vincent Ravelsloot had a bit of a tough one in race 1. He starts at P number 4 for the Team Apex Missers. And then the Roaring Chicken Nuggets in P number 5. With Quasar Sim Racing and Aaron R. Ackles in P number 6. Matthew Briggs for the .exe team eking out a very good result in the last race, starting 7th here with Vitor Bras for Team Oblivion in P number 8. Florian Hundertmark also getting a very good result for the awesome Motorsport Group Ferrari. They are in P number 9 for this one, with the previous championship leaders Mac Performance in P10. I hope they are able to put up the fight in this one. Yuri Steinmetz, P11 for Apex Missiles 1 and 5, with Lipen Esports White and Janis Gottwald in P number 12. Then we moved on to Richard Small for Quasar Sim Racing Hydra. They had an incredible recovery drive. Then Anthony Pisano for Team Arsaba G Performance 55. Jan Nosek starts in P15 for the 56 machine, with Liam Matthews, the team who took second place Archer Brothers in the first race. They're going to be starting in P number 16. Finally, the team with one hand on the championship, Heusenfeld 78, starting in P17, not dead last, because Lapsat 11 did not qualify. Did not classify for the first race, I beg your pardon. They will be in P number 18. And the same can be said for the Mayor Simspeed Performance team. They start 19th. The Shipsky Racing team, they are in P number 20. And the CXR Project Black A in P21. The reason why they're not at the top of the field is because they did not meet the eligible criteria. They did not fulfill the required number of laps to classify. And hence, as a punishment, they have to start from the very back of the grid. And the storylines, so many of them flowing as we come to the formation lap. The championship, the midfield battles, the recoveries, the drives, the way the drivers have to keep their head up. Stefan, which storyline excites you the most heading into the final race of the opening season of the IVRA GT Sprint Series?
Well, obviously it's all about that Team Heusenfeld number 78 machine. Not only is the 78 machine this dominant, Heusenfeld over the entire season, over all competitions of the IVRA League, they have won 12 different races.
Goodness. That's a lot. That is a lot of races won by Team Heusenfeld. Can they make it 13 today? Or will it be someone else claiming the victory? Can we see a new first-time winner as the big giants have to claw their way back from the midfield? This is it. For one last time. I'm going to be sad when this ends, honestly. I've had such a good time watching the IVRA GT Sprint Series, and before the race begins, a big shout out to Race Control for organising this amazing championship. But now, here we go. One final hour this season. We shall be back in the winter, but for now, this is it. End race on pole positions. Viking in P number 2. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen, for one last time. Green. Race number 2 is on here at CTMP. Nice, clean and beautiful at the very start. It is all fine for iRacing Esports, and the same can be said for all the other teams as well. .exe in the midfield seem to be having a bit of a scrap in the background, but still seemingly no contact made early on, which is quite in junction with with the regular norms of the world these days. Just make sure that there's no contact and you'll be safe and healthy. Coming down into turn number 2, into a Clayton corner. Nobody seems to have gone on the grass, which is going to be a big plus, because we saw the last time out, you get on the grass, you just end up facing the wrong side of the road. And still, early on, we see a big accident. The apex missers have been hit, and Mac Performance are trying to make moves here at the Moss corner. Drama at the very start after a rather quiet beginning.
And I was also right in front of Team Heusenfeld, so big implications here once again, but I think Team Heusenfeld managed to come out of this without any damage.
Big drama. If that actually is Team Heusenfeld, that should be huge drama, as we see Leipert Esports spinning! Oh, goodness me, Leipert, such an impressive team in the last race, already seeing their rear tires burnt out in a pile of smoke. Big spin right there for them. But what's happened here with Team Heusenfeld and the apex missers? Now, how did that happen? And Team Heusenfeld, they made contact, but the Quasar car made even bigger contact in the wall, Stefan.
Yeah, that was extremely lucky for Team Heusenfeld, extremely unlucky for Quasar, as we're seeing that once again from another perspective here. The 186 is not gonna spin. Or actually, sorry, we're back on live pictures.
Just that slight bit of confusion here and there. Happens quite often, but oof, what a beginning that was. And for some, it may be the best in the world, but for the others, if you are Team Heusenfeld, if you are, for that matter, the apex missers, that is disastrous for you. What else could you have not asked for, basically? Quasar Sim Racing Hydra in P21. Richard Small is in the pit lane as we take a look at this replay once again. This is what happened to Leipert Esports. Coming in towards White's corner, fighting with .exe, and they were hit. And so they went on the grass, and so they had their spin. And look at that, Stefan. The Heusenfeld car could have been hit by no fault for their own for the second time today.
Yeah, but this also meant that Team Heusenfeld is now only in 13th position, so not quite the start exactly how they imagined it. They haven't really gained too many positions, even though it was already 4 positions, if I can count that correctly in my head. So, yeah, slows down to Team Heusenfeld's ambitions in this race, but still, they are still alive.
Yep, there is still life, but look at where their rivals are. Jan Nosek right in front for the number 56 machine. Then you have the Archer Brother cars. Then Archer Brothers car, I beg your pardon. Now look at this, Heusenfeld trying to force a move here at Moss Corner, making their presence felt well and truly, getting a very good run right now. They want to make up positions as early as they can, but this number 56 machine, RSR Esport by G Performance, not a pushover by any stretch of the imagination. This, ladies and gentlemen, is going to be a battle that is reflective of the entire championship. RSR versus Heusenfeld. What can they do here? And ahead of them, it is .exe that has been passed by the number 55 RSR car, and the Archer Brothers Esports car will be next on the list to get ahead of the McLaren. Now, Heusenfeld comes once again as they plunge down into turn number 1 and head towards Clayton's corner. Stefan.
Yeah, these guys most definitely fighting for it right now, but they also have to be careful because the live championship right now, it is back in favor of Mark Performance because they are already up to 5th place, and this would mean that they are back in front of Team Heusenfeld by 17 points. Sorry, 7 points rather, so it's extremely close here at the top and even here at Moss Corner.
It's just the thing that we saw the last lap out. It's getting ever so closer between Heusenfeld and RSR Esport by G Performance. Oblivion are now being lapped over by the RSR 55 car. And the 56 trying to defend. Okay, here they come. 55 makes a move on the Archer Brother Esports car. Are they going to get it done this time out? Not quite. But they are pushed to the outside line. The Archer Brothers team defends extremely well, and they make contact. Could this be Heusenfeld's chance? Yes, it is Heusenfeld's chance. They move up ahead of Jan Nosek, and that is it. Max Riedmuller had got the position, but then again, RSR not going to concede. Side by side, door-to-door racing action that perfectly captures the IVRA GT Sprint Series. Watch this, savor this, enjoy this. This is the one last time you're going to see this season, and Max Riedmuller has not got the position done. Oof! That is some frantic defending by Jan Nosek right there. Well done, my friend.
Yeah, and remember that 56 ahead of Max Riedmuller. He's no longer in the championship. It's 204 points going into this race between those two. So what that 56 is doing is actually helping the 55, because the longer Nosek can keep Riedmuller behind, the longer Pisano has to get, is able to get in front of other cars.
Yeah, exactly. You're absolutely right, Stefan. That is an excellent point that you've made right there. And as you speak about that, Pisano has passed many cars. The next on his list is going to be Aaron R. Ackles' Quasar Racing Lamborghini. So this is getting rather spicy right here. Heusinger are just being held out by the second RSR car. And an interesting point that you mentioned, Stefan, Mac Performance are gaining with this too. The longer the 56 car keeps Heusinger behind, it's just jolly gala time for them. Oh, big moment there for the 55.
Yeah, and the 14 is now up into 4th place rather. So they have moved past Lapsart Racing Ferrari. Oh, that's a touch.
That's a touch, definitely. And the Quasar car is out in the grass, not helping out there. So in the overall sense, the 55 car, well, they've pushed out the Quasar Sim Racing car of Aaron R. Ackles. They will be absolutely fuming with it. Proper hardcore racing this. In the overall sense though, Stefan, the 56 is not getting any benefit. They are the ones who are up ahead in the championship, remember. They want to be the one winning it. And so, instead of just blocking off Heusinger, they actually have to be the ones making the move. But in terms of just this very race, indeed, 56 is doing an excellent job to facilitate 55 in their pursuit for victory. Meanwhile, this is the incident once again. Who do we blame for this one, Stefan?
I don't know. Let's have a look here once again. Looks like Quasar did give enough room. Yeah, Quasar did give enough room. But I think that might once again just be a racing incident. I also have to apologize to the RSR by G Performance teams because I mixed them up. It's the 55 that is behind on points. The 56 is still in the championship hunt. And also, I've gotten word that we have some drama with the 78 as it seems like Mats is not able to join the server.
Can you believe it? I can't. To put this into context, they are your championship leaders, folks. You have to have a driver swap in the series. It's in the rules, it's in the norms. If Matt Stocks-Hertzfeld can't join the server, that's a clear drive-through penalty for them. Team Heusinger, the championship leaders, could be pushed further back. Oh, goodness me, Stefan, this is absolutely insane. I can't seem to fathom what could happen if Mats cannot quite join the server. Look at the gap. It is equal. Mac Performance and Heusinger are equal. The RSR 56 car, by keeping Heusinger behind, are just making it better for Team Mac Performance, who thought at the end of the first race that their championship is done. I have no clue about which way this race is going to swing. It is not done yet.
Yeah, 23 points is the gap right now between the 14 and the 78, and it's not too far ahead for the 14 to get up to Kjellin, Ravislot and Play. It's only 3.9 seconds that he is behind first place, the 199, so really this is going just great right now for Mac Performance. What an incredibly bad race they had first time out, and just look at how they redeem right now. Oh, that's the hoisting belt into the grass.
Big drama, Team Heusinger in the grass. Riedmuller is flashing his headlights. It seems like it's all crumbling through towards the end as his teammate can't join the server. Crash at the top. What in the world? That was Nick's do for the Roaring Chicken Nuggets. Huge impact into the wall right there. That is insane stuff. That is a big accident. Meanwhile, we saw the two RSR Esport by G Performance cars swap position. So the 56 of Jan Nosek is up ahead. You can see the impact on the live standings. He is in P number 3 now. He has gained positions. That is smart teamwork. And now, Oblivion in the runoff? Huh? That is smart driving, though. That is extremely smart driving. What's happened here by Nick Stoop? For Nick Stoop, I beg your pardon. The grass once
on the
again.
grass there. And I think I saw on the timing and scoring sheet a few other cars that were stopped. Yeah, look at that. Oh,
no.
My goodness.
Quasar Sim Racing, Lapsat Racing, Apex misses, all a part of this kerfuffle. Roaring chicken nuggets, well, broken chicken nuggets, I beg your pardon for this one, folks. It's just a bad accident for them, and then they got piled over. Everything is happening in this race all at once. And now let's take a look at the entire scenario. This is now the whole scene. Hursingwell trying to force their move at Team RSR 55.
Oh!
They make contact. In the grass goes Pisano. And the strategy of blocking of the Hursingwell team, well, that, ladies and gentlemen, has not worked. Hursingwell have been liberated.
That might have been a little bit naughty from Reedmill. I'm pretty sure that's going to be a protest from the RSR guys for sure. I'm not going to think they're going to let that sit just like that, even though that might just get ruled as a racing incident, as we have another look at that from our aerial view here. Let's have a look here. Quite dive from the Huizenveld car, and then on the exit, not really leaving too much room to the RSR.
I mean, they had to, right? They just had to do it. They had no other choice. They might have realized, and this is it. This is salvation. They've spent far too long looking at the back end of the 56 car at the start of this race. They have to make moves. They have to get it done. This is the moment. This is the time. And interestingly enough, they have gained up time. They have gone faster. Just touching the 1 minute 16 mark. Max Riedmuller has been freed up, but there's still this big looming drama. What if their teammates are not able to join the server? What if Matt Stog-Hertzfeld can't make it in? I don't know what to say at this stage. I am baffled. Meanwhile, battle for P number 2. Team Vikings lost a position early on to the Apex Misses 186. And it's been some good salvation, isn't it? The Apex Misses 186 had such a bad race number 1. Now they're in P number 2 and they're doing an excellent job in defending, Stefan.
Yeah, exactly, but look at that, just behind them, that's the Mac Performance Sim Racing team, and I can tell you, right now as it stands with Huizenveld in 7th place and the Mac Performance Sim Racing team in 4th place, the pendulum swings again, and this time it's in favor of Team Huizenveld, as they are now back in the championship lead.
Yeah, exactly. It's just swinging. And you know by how much, ladies and gentlemen? Of course, you can see what's going on in the top right corner. It is by just a grand total of 1 point. Of 1 point. That is the difference as it stands. And the next car for Max Riedmuller to pass is not an easy car for Max Riedmuller to pass. It is going to be Jan Nosek of Team RSR Esports by G Performance. Folks, if I mumble, if I chew up a few words right now, forgive me, for I am far too excited. This is not the usual championship decider. This is just all the way better. Mag Performance send it for P number 3. They are in 3rd position right now. Dum 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 dum. Look at the life points changing in a flash. They are going to be gaining far more points. And that number 14, that's going to be sliding up to P number 1. Goodness me, what is this race turning out to be? It is just so possible that after 4 wins in a row, we may not see Hursingwell winning. No commentator's curse. I'm knocking on wood as I say this. But that's just how dramatic the IVRA GT Sprint Series has been, Stefan.
Yeah, most definitely. Just incredible excitement. I mean, I said that the 78 has one hand on the trophy already, and it still continues to be true. Madsen and Mac Performance, they have to win this race to be able to still have somewhat of a chance to get that trophy into their hands. But as it stands right now, continues to be in favor of Riedmuller and Team Huizenveld. But it's going to be a very slim margin until the very end.
You're absolutely right, Stefan. You couldn't have put it in better words, this one. It is just a fight till the very end. Now Mac Performance closing up. Now they're trying to make something on the Apex Misses 186, who are in such a respectable position in P number 2. After all that happened in the last round for them, This is just going to be an absolute dream. And they have to make sure that they keep it. CXR Project Black, by the way, moving up on Maya same speed. They had a terrible race number 1. They are making it work for race number 2. That is how you respond, ladies and gentlemen. If you have a bad race 1, put your head down, try to get the best of what you can in the second one. Madsen has closed up though. Madsen is only, what, 4/10 of a second behind the Apex Missers car. That's the battle for P number 2, ladies and gentlemen. This is going to be fun. This is going to be interesting. This is going to be entertaining. Nick Madsen has to get this move done. And so, Nick Madsen will get this move done. But the question is... Oh! With how much cleanliness? He's out! He has crashed! The Apex Missers in the wall! The Mac Performance team in the wall! What in the world is happening today? What are you smoking, the scriptwriter? This is bizarre, this is baffling. This was your championship leader. It's like a game of hot potato. The championship leader in this race, in this round, has had battle, beat Mac Performance, beat Hersingworld. I am speechless.
Yeah, on the inside, you were able quite nicely to see that the Apex Missers the 186, just a little bit of a wiggle down into the downhill section, and then because of that got on the big curb on the inside, and that shot them right across into Nick Madsen just like that. Look at that beautiful camera work. My goodness.
What seemed to be a very easy pass, that was a case of when, not if, has turned into something that swings the pendulum completely away from Mac Performance. The final nail in the coffin, you could say. And I don't even know who to blame. I mean, it's just such a close one. Race Control, I pity them, are going to have such a tough time. But the broader picture, ladies and gentlemen, Nick Madsen and Team Mac Performance, impeccable throughout the season. Faultless, one can say, have made 2 or 3 critical errors today. That could very well cost them the championship. They are in number 12. What do we say, Stefan? What do we say at this? It's just the most dramatic season finale I have seen. And I've seen Brazil 2008 as well. I don't know where this is going, honestly.
Yeah, what can you say? I mean, if we bring up the live championship points here in a second, you're gonna see how much of a dramatic swing that gives you. The 78 now in first place. There you go, 10 points ahead of the 56, and then 14 with that. They're only third place now, and just incredible. I mean, I'm speechless. I honestly can't put into words how much of a game changer this has been.
Exactly. Look at this. Look at the live points. Look at Hersingworld. Look at the gap they've amassed. Car ahead of them, the RSR Esports by G Performance number 56 machine is 1 place ahead. And they have to outscore them by 10 points or more to get that championship. I'm not saying it's not possible, but it seems highly unlikely considering the run of form that Team Hersingworld have been in. But that said, RSR Esports by G Performance, the 56 car, is one of the hardest cars in the series to pass. Reed Muller does not need to pass them to win this championship. But what he needs is to see Matstog Hertzfeld join this session. If Matstog Hertzfeld does not join the session, Hersingworld might not win the championship, you know. This hot potato game of the inaugural IVRA GT Sprint Championship might end up continuing. Where is this going? Where is this going? This has just been the ultimate closing story, right? You can't write this, you can't script this. And it may sound like the ultimate cliche that you can pick up from a commentator's handbook, but it's just the best way to put it forward. You can't script this. You never know how it's going to go. Let's focus on this battle for now, though. Let's focus on the present. This is going to be RSR Esports by G Performance, the 55, trying to make moves. They've made one stick on the AMG Ferrari. Nice and clean. They are up now into P number 9. Remember, they had that incident early on in the race. It could have been something really great for them, but now they find themselves in P9 with Anthony Pisano trying to get up and create some sort of a recovery run of sorts.
I mean, You said it right here. It is all about the 56 and the 78 right now. The difference is 10 points between them, which means that with the position they're in right now, they're anyway gaining already 8 points. So that means they need to score 18 points more than the 78. However, there's a big problem in that. If they manage to only outscore them by 18 points and with that be at the same points tally after this race, it's still going to be the trophy of the 78 because they have won much more races than the 56.
Yep, the countback rule coming into perspective. RSRYG Performance 56, they have to outscore them. There is no other way. And outscoring them is going to be very hard because the cars up ahead, Archer Brothers, you have got Team Vikings, Lapsat Racing and N-Race Esports. I mean, there's a bit of a gap, but if Max Friedenmuller put pedal to the metal, he can very well get those moves done. And for RSR, it's just a case of passing everyone and hoping the Team Hersing will. Two things. Firstly, they're not able to pass the others. And secondly, I mean, it sounds very bad to say this, but it's just for them, they'll hope that Max Hertzfeld cannot get into the session because that'll just help them get the win. Of course, they won't be thinking in this direction. You always wish the best things for your teammates and your rivals, for everyone. But it's looking highly unlikely now, Stefan. We're getting word from the chat and it seems more and more unlikely that Matt Stock Hertzfeld can actually get into the session. Can you believe it?
Yeah, he's right now trying to install the iRacing local files once again, which might be a fix for him. So, I mean, what if is this championship finale drama all over, and even drama that is related to the track itself?
Exactly. Oscar de Koper very promptly coming in the chat and saying that's not how the championship should be decided, and he's 100% correct about that. Just showing the right sporting spirit. And you never want to wish bad luck on your rivals. You just never hope that something bad happens to them. But it's a realistic possibility right now. Team Hersingwell, it's looking brilliant for them on the track. As it stands, they're fine. But they have to make sure that Matt Stock Hertzfeld gets in the session. And the time, Stefan, time is running out. The pit window, the minimum driving time is just about to be checked off in around a couple of minutes. Ideally, right about 5 minutes from now is where everyone pits.
I mean, it's more like 7 minutes if we're honest about it. It's 28 minutes roughly is where it really started to be thinking about pit. So they have still got some time, the 78, but obviously if he can't connect by the time that the 25-minute mark has passed, there's basically no return whatsoever from them being sadly disqualified from this race.
Oh boy. Yeah, the driver swap has to happen at the pit stop. There's no other choice for them. Seems sad. That's not how the championship should be decided. Let's hope that Mats is actually able to join the server, and then let's see what happens on the track. We want to see it settled on the track, not in the servers, not in the technicalities. That's not the way to end, unfortunately. I hope he's just able to join in. I hope that this is one that ends on the track. But let's focus on the here and now. We've spoken too much about this. Team Shipsky Racing. Shipsky send this one on the AMG Ferrari. They, ladies and gentlemen, have moved up into P number 10. That is a rather cleanly executed move. And at the top here, Archer Brother Esports. They have made a move on Team Vikings as well, swooping around the outside and getting their position in. And you kind of see this happening, Stefan. Team AMG, they're not one to just let any position go. They're fought back, and the Awesome Motorsport group, they are just showing great character. They're fought back and they've regained the position that they lost. They still are in P10. Shipsky versus Awesome Motorsport group Ferrari. I think that's going to be a battle that we haven't quite seen a lot, but it should turn out to be a very, very entertaining one.
Yeah, and Shipsky Racing has gained already quite a few positions. Remember, they started in 20th position, and they're already up to 11th place. So also a great recovery drive from them from that very cursed first race of today. But also one thing I want to point out, N-Race Esports, they continue to impress me in that BMW. Yes. Once again, not the best race for BMW in the first race, but they have bounced back and they have opened up the gap to second place to 4.5 seconds now.
Yeah, you're absolutely correct. We must speak about N-Race Esports. And Valentin Play has done an excellent job. He's just been composed. He's doing what he needs to do. He just has to hold on to the position. He has to create a very good gap to all the other people. And he's doing that with great calmness, you know. Our N-Race Esports might just end up trumping Archer Brothers in this battle for P number 5. That will be their first race win of the season. And I said at the top of the start of this race, maybe we could see a news race winner here as we see the second RSR car pit. Maybe this could be the day. Knocking on some wood as I say that, it would be very heartwarming to see N-Race Esports finally get that one win that they deserve and carry the momentum heading into Season 2. Meanwhile, Shipki Racing trying to get something down the inside at Clayton Corner.
Ooh! Great save there by the AMG car, because they had for quite some time their two wheels in the dirt, but somehow kept it all together until the return. And talking about N-Race, it's not only going to be the first win for them if they can match it, but it's also going to be the only second win of the season for a BMW car.
You're right, and the first one was with you. Good memories, good callback this, and your prediction could very well be right. We could see a BMW at last living up to the moniker and winning here at CTMP, but still 32 minutes to go for that one. Pit stops are continuing. Meanwhile, if you're curious about what has happened to the Apex Missers and to Mac Performance after their cannonball incident, Mac Performance are at B number 15. They are unfortunately just not having the best of days. Meanwhile, replay of Shipsky Racing sending it. And Tyler Maxson, my full salute to you. He's our producer and he's captured this in its full glory. The first save, in fact, Stefan, here at Clayton Corner. It's the first save I've seen today.
Yeah, I think you're right with the first save there. And also we have news that Mats Tage Hutzfeldt has been able to connect to the server. However, he is going to be driving with the account of Jörn von Wendt. So if you see Jörn into the car, that is in fact Mats Tage Hutzfeldt, who for some reason just can't connect with his account to the server.
The relief. Oh my goodness me. I am relieved. I am so glad that they've just found a way. It must be the most tense period for Team Well, meanwhile, Lapsat Racing, Audi, spinning. Guess where it is, ladies and gentlemen? No prizes for getting it correct. It is Clayton Corner. Now, we can tell, even without watching the replay, that it has happened by putting a wheel on the grass. Clearly. There's no other way that you can have a self-spin right there. Unless the RSR car tapped him. Which didn't. Not carried too much speed, that. That's a weird one, yeah. Audi being Audi, I suppose?
I don't know. I would have to see that from behind or from an L coverage, but it's the first time we see that sort of speed. I mean, it is sort of possible to be a little bit too far to the inside. It was a little bit hard to pick exactly the line there from that angle. But if you're a little bit too far to the inside, you're actually hitting a very bad bump that is inside of the white line there. And if you hit that, that's most definitely going to result in a spin in a Audi. So maybe that was the reason why they spun there. But otherwise, an extremely weird one.
An extremely weird one indeed, this one. Let's take a quick look at it once again. It's a beautiful corner, Clayton. Descending downhill amidst all the greenery. But he carried too much speed, and the greenery, well, it just doesn't seem as pleasant.
Yeah, so there we saw it in the aero coverage. Just a weird one. Just the rear of the Audi gave up the ghost there, and that's why they spun. So probably just a little bit too eager on the throttle with too much steering input. Oh, smoke! Smoke ahead of the 78. Did somebody crash there?
Here? They did! Someone did! That? Oh, don't tell me. Don't tell me. Don't tell me it's the N-Race Esports team. No, it's not.
No, it was Leipert who lost 2 positions.
It was Leipert. Phew. I got slightly confused. We're discussing all the moves that is going on. We missed that N-Race Esports actually made their pit stop So they are down currently in P number 9, but the cars up ahead of them are due their pit stops. That should happen soon. So they should be back in P number 1. But it was Lippert who had that accident.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lazy self-spin over the outside grass there. Didn't hit the wall, so Martin Hensel only lost a few positions there. I can see just a good reactions though. He saved that immediately, backs it right through the grass, didn't hit anything, and immediately onto first gear, and away he goes.
Yeah, we were just having a chat with Martin Hensel in the Discord server. He was having a lot of good fun watching, but it'll be far from enjoyable for him right now. Just having that slight spin takes your momentum off. As you see the pit window coming to its close in a few odd minutes. Team Hersing will do a pit stop. As Stefan mentioned early on, thank goodness we are going to see Matt Stuck-Hertzfeld race. Must be panic back at his home. He must be so frantic. He must be scraping around everywhere trying to find a solution. We know Maximilian Fritz was working along with them to try and find a way around, and they have. He is going to be racing under Jörn von Wendt's name. Man, this is the kind of stuff that gets you really excited, right? You don't know how it's going to happen. You don't know how it's going to pan out. For Team Hersingwell, if they win, which seems like the most likely scenario right now, they're going to be looking back at this many, many years from now. And they're honestly going to be saying, this was the most dramatic way we could possibly win a championship. It's not going to be topped in any way whatsoever. What could have happened? I mean, the pendulum has swung so many times. And it seemed to me for a few moments that the championship leader, well, it was just an unlucky position to be in because Mac Performance had their unfortunate incidents there when they were leading. Then Hersingwell had a couple of incidents at the start. Then Mac Performance, they got back into the virtual lead. And then they had this big crash. Then Hersingwell once again facing connection issues. Bad place to be in. But towards the end, it's going to be the most gratifying position to be in, being the inaugural winner of the IVRA GT Sprint Series.
Yeah, and Max Riedmüller has started his last lap of the stint after this one. He's going to be pitting in. He's not going to be able to do another lap and still be in the 25-minute drive time.
Yep, exactly. He has to pit in right about now. And with the connection issue sorted, he shall be much more relaxed while doing so. Shipke Racing, currently in P number 3, Maxime Marriott driving that car. And naturally, he will be passed on by Robson. That is Samuel Robson for Archer Brother Esports. No, that isn't Samuel Robson for Archer Brother Esports. That was the Quasar car. My apologies, folks. Shipke after their pit stop. Quasar Leo in P9 with Mac Performance Sim Racing in 10th. And Shipke in P11. My apologies for any slight jinx in the middle right there. And Team Hersingwell now, after all the drama, have made it in the pit lane. The relief.
So, it's going to be interesting, the 56 where they're going to come out in relation. The problem is for Boris Angel Ovando is that he wasn't able to keep up the pace of Jan Nosek, and actually might be happening that Ovando is not going to be able to re-overtake the 78 as they're still in pit stall. There we go, now they're driving away. And the 56, I think, is still nowhere near them.
Yep, the 56 still seemingly not close enough. Angel Ovando doing a very good job to bring his car up to P4 and making sure that Hersingwell stay behind, but seems like it just isn't enough. Never say never though in the IVRA GT Sprint Series. Now, the reason why I say never, you've seen all that's happened today, folks. In case you haven't, just pandemonium. Just utter drama. The changes in the championship orders have been so dramatic. If that doesn't give you an idea of what we literally mean when we say never, nothing else will. This is proper, hardcore, chaotic, dramatic racing. And a big moment there for the Quasar Sim Racing 26 machine. Just losing it out for Yoni Waters at the downhill section of the Clayton corner. It's a tricky bit that we haven't discussed, this Stefan, but how easy is it for the car to bottom out? Because when you're descending downhill into a blind corner, the car can just lose grip and you can spin it around so easily.
Well, normally you don't have any problems through that left-hander unless you hit the inside curb, which is a little bit weird because it is a very short and very steep curb. So that's the only way you really are gonna be bottoming out through that turn. But I mean, we have seen it with the Apex missers, sadly, and that's what really caused that incident with the Mac Performance team. But as you can see now on your screens, the battle for first is on. N-Race Esports, well, they might be getting caught here by Team Huizenveld, who are under pressure from the Archer brothers and not too far behind. The 56 still lurking in the shadows. And the big question here is for Team Huizenveld, what is right now up with Mats Toge Hutzfeld? How focused is he still on driving that car after all the issues he has just went through?
You're actually right, Stefan. Just think about the mental side of things. It's challenging enough to drive a race car when you're completely calm around a circuit like CTMP, when we discussed at the top of the broadcast that it's a flowing circuit, it's a fast circuit, it's very enjoyable. But to nail your lap times, it's extremely hard, as we see the Archer Brother Esports car being passed by RSR Esports by G Performance 56. Nice and clean there. No pressure, no drama. Now, it's hard enough to keep the car on the track and clocking some really good times when you're calm. For Mats Toge Hutzfeld, he's been through all the drama in the world just to get in behind the wheel of his car. What kind of mental state is he going to be in? How does he keep his cool? Currently, he does seem to be doing that extremely well, fighting off the Archer Brother car from behind and keeping his position. His focus now moves up to Maxime Marriott in the N-Race Esports car. Oh, I am intrigued. So our Team Huizenveld are going to go for the kill. Are they going to go for their 5th win on the trot and make ultimate history, winning 5 races out of 12 in the championship? Will we see N-Race Esports defend mightily and end up taking their first win in the championship? Nothing is for granted. You know for a fact that Huizenveld number 78, they're not going to let N-Race Esports win the race. They're not going to be like, oh, we're winning the championship, yeah, you can have your first ever race win. Nothing is given for granted here in the IVRA GT Sprint Series. Stefan, what do you reckon? Do you think that N-Race and Maxime Marriott can just defend extremely hard from a rampant Mats Toge Hutzfeld?
Quite honestly, right now, I don't see Hutzfeld even closing that gap. He is much slower right now than he was in the first race. Maxime Marriott of N-Race is putting in 16.3, and the last lap of Mats Toge Hutzfeld only a 16.7, so he lost 4/10. And boys, Angel Ovando from behind that RSR 56, he's much faster as well. So is the Archer Brothers car of Samuel Robson. So right now, Mats Toge Hutzfeld, the cork in the bottle. And quite honestly, if Boris can get past that 78, I think he can charge down that N-Race car. And with that, would be able to actually move past the 78 in the championship standings.
Should be interesting. Which will be the more popular result? Huizenveld winning the championship with a win, or Maxime Marriott and N-Race Esports taking their first ever win? We'll let you answer that right here in the YouTube chat. One of the more excellent features of broadcasting on the internet is that we can interact with you live as the race goes on. So feel free to use that feature, and if you're liking what you're seeing, feel free to give us a follow on YouTube and also give a like to this broadcast. Meanwhile, RSR Esports by G Performance, it's Boris Angel Ovando, the superstar of that team, who interestingly enough also had internet issues while leading the championship at Zandvoort. But what's happened to Thomas Hammerschak for Shipsky Racing? Thomas just getting on the grass. If Stefan, what, has it been 10 times since we've seen that since the start of the race? 10, 11 or something?
Yeah, I think 10 or 11 times we've seen that in the today's racing action of the 2 races thus far. We still have 20 minutes to go, so there are more people that sadly can't join that same fate.
Yeah, I mean, we had a small internal bet early on before the broadcast began about how many crashes will we see today. And Tyler, our producer, said, around about 5. It has not been 5 crashes today. It has been absolute pandemonium. Perhaps teams and drivers just just facing the pressure of the final round of the race and trying to maximize the result. Sometimes it gets to you, sometimes it's just the nature of the circuit. Oscar de Copa, RSR Esports superstar driver, coming up and saying he's voting for an RSR win with H.E. Hursingwell, that is, in P number. That is possible, you know. Hursingwell can very well be in P number 3. They don't quite need to finish where they are to win the championship. And Boris Angelo-Vando, we've seen enough of him pull off some incredible feats. He's got 19 odd minutes if he wants to get the win done. N-Race Esports are up ahead. First, he has to get rid of the cook in the bottle, as Stefan mentioned. He has to get rid of Max Turge Hertzfeld, who's driving by the name of Johan von Wendt because of internet issues. Very much possible, this, but it might lead to a spectacular battle in the last 20 minutes. And hey, if Boris wants to get that done, I am up for it. That'll just make it a cracking battle towards the very end. That'll just characterize the IVRA GT Sprint Series. It's just what the series has been all about. Hardcore, super, not clean completely, but super dramatic GT3 racing action.
The way it's looking right now, this is all going to be between those three. N-Race Esports ahead just continues to run away with this lead. And I mean, one thing that's also possible and would be enough of an outcome for RSR to make them the champion of this season is if they are able to overtake the 78 and Archer Brothers behind, also able to overtake Mats Torge Hutzfeld, because that would then be a 19-point swing in favor of RSR Esports, and that would consequently mean that RSR would be the champion by a single point.
Okay, so it's not over and done yet. My mind could never quite focus on such mathematics. Stefan coming up with a gem of a stat. I'm not going to kill the enthusiasm right now, but let's be honest, it's going to be extremely hard for that sort of stuff to happen, right? Considering the run of form Hursingwell have been in. But you never know. The Team RSR Esports by G Performance have been excellent throughout the season. Just bad luck, unfortunately, putting them out of a very, very possible championship challenge from both cars, not just the 56. It's 17 minutes left to go. Archer Brothers also need to pull out an excellent move on Team Hursingwell to get that done. It is possible. It is literally possible, this one. We've seen anything and everything happen here today at the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. I'm not going to be surprised if anything just as bizarre happens too. So let's see. Here comes Boris Angelo-Vando, nursing a bit of a shoulder injury, but still pulling out the stops. Doing a brilliant job to keep that car in P3, but he's not satisfied with just keeping it there. He wants to bring it up to P number 2, and who knows, maybe even P number 1. But let's focus at... Oh, wait a minute. Let's not focus at Maxime Marriott and N-Race Esports for a second. Let's focus at P number 5. Paul Searle in the CXR Project Black car, folks. He's driven all the way from the back of the grid to P number 5 in the Lamborghini. That is, quite frankly, a very good recovery drive. How did they just get it done, Stefan? They just might have crawled through all the chaos and just carved their way through excellently right here.
Yeah, probably that's how they did it. And oh, was that Archer behind?
That was Archer behind. But what's oh yeah, they have lost immense amount of time, Archer Brothers. They made a slight mistake and they're right into the grasp of the CXR Project Black car. So what's happened here, Stefan?
Let's have a look. Seems like a little bit too fast. Yeah, too fast into Moss. And look at that, how much time they're losing right there. And right behind them now, that is the CXR Project Black. Once again, maybe able to capitalize on a mistake from a competitor.
Yep, exactly. They have gained so many positions. Just one more, well, could change the world for them, for CXR Project Black. It could have a huge impact. They currently found themselves in P number 7, heading into this championship at the start of this round, and it'll be big gain for them to see what they can salvage if they get that one more position. Battles are going on everywhere. We're seeing this one for P number 2. Hursingwell versus RSR Esports by G Performance, the one that's been continuous throughout the length of this championship. Then the one behind, Samuel Robson and Paul Searle, Archer Brothers and CXR Project Black. Team Vikings are in P7, My Sim Speed has been in P6, so quick shout out to them. they have been very composed in this race too. Michael Stogbauer in P8 for RSR number 55. Meanwhile, let's cast our mind back to one MAG Performance. Team number 14 MAG Performance, who were your championship leaders at some point in this race itself. P10, now Boris attacks, Boris waits. Good defending. Good, smart defending there by Matt Sorge-Hertzfeld. He knows his lines, he knows his places. And the championship leader is showing exactly why he has that title. And look at this one. Boris isn't impressed, is he?
No, most definitely not. It did look a tiny bit dirty. I don't know if it was just the camera angle, but it seemed like Boris Ovando had made a little bit of a contact there with Hutzfeld into White's corner. But either way, Ovando still right in behind that number 78.
Coming back in towards the second sector of the circuit, 13 odd minutes to go. For Boris Angel Ovando, time is running out if he wants to make the deal done. My apologies. Oh, I see a bit of smoke. Of course, there's only one car up ahead. Oh no, I think that was a Lapsat Racing car that was spun out there at the exit of the Moss corner right before the start of the Mario Andretti straightaway. It's not a major battle in terms of the championship standings, but still, it's an incident that's happened very late on in the race that can puncture the momentum for any team. Look at how close they get. Look at how close Boris Angel Ovando gets. Nothing separates the RSR Lamborghini and the Hörslingwell Audi. That, folks, is the margins by which the championship will eventually be decided. So have you seen a more exciting championship finale than this one, ladies and gentlemen? I doubt. And the pendulum could still swing in any direction whatsoever. With 12 odd minutes left to go. Boris Angel Ovando makes the move. He sends it down the inside, and somewhat strangely, Matt Sorge-Hertzfeld lets him go. But it's a smart plan, this one. He isn't letting him go cleanly. He's going to go for the cutback, and a cutback that works extremely well. So Team Hörslingwell back into P number 2, and they make contact. What? What? What in the world's happened here? Hörslingwell made contact. RSR Esport by G Performance touched him at Moss corner, and they've lost positions. What?
What is this season finale? Extreme drama now as well, with the 78 getting spun out by the 56. What are we witnessing here today?
It's just my fault. Commentators curse 1000. If any aspiring commentators are watching this, this is how it's not done. On board with Boris Angel Ovando. They make contact. I am so shocked. This is the battle that has defined IVRA GT Sprint throughout the season, and it's ended in the worst way possible. Remember I said the margins that could define the championship, the margins that disappeared by 1 meter of braking too late. Team Hörslingwell, where are they?
I'm gonna tell you something though, that was a little bit of air between those two cars. I'm not sure if that was really 100% touch.
Yeah, Team RSR Esport by G Performance clearly coming in the chat and saying it's a net code. They're in the session. They said at least that it's a clear case of a net code. I mean, I've got to agree. They won't make a move.
Oh! They're right. My goodness. What is this? The 56. All right, so the 56 is now in second place. They have continued on their way. The 78 is now in 5th place. And quite rightly so. That means the 56 is in the championship lead.
Don't tell me. Don't tell me. Net code could define the champ. Look at the standings. Look at the standings. Look at it. It is clear as daylight. 10 points separating RSR Esport by G Performance and Hörslingwell. This is going to be Matt Sorge-Hertzfeld's charge of his life. He has to gain as many positions as he can. It's been so dramatic for him. It's been so chaotic, so much drama, so much pandemonium. What in the world have they not faced today? Crashes? Internet issues? Then this? It's just like the racing gods they're just looking like Hurtingwell and saying, nah, my friend, I'm not going to let you win the championship in the easiest way possible. I'm going to put in 1,000 obstacles for you. Let's see if they get it done. No, there's nothing else I can say. I can only say, let's see. Suddenly, we thought that Mac Performance would win. They aren't. We thought Hurtingwell would win. They aren't. And they came back, then they are not once again. I don't know how to put it, but in the prime position is RSR Esports by G Performance and the 56 car. Oh boy.
Well, the good thing is, the 78 only has to overtake the 202 of Archer Brothers to be back into the championship league, because there's an 18-point difference between Robson and Hutzfeld for just that one position. So they would already be back in the championship lead if they can do that, as that was the Roaring Chicken Nuggets being spun on the outside of 20.
Yeah, a bit of an incident there. Once again at Clayton Corner, I think the count goes up to, what, 16 or something for today? Not so quick reminder, folks. Let's not make the chat very toxic. And let's look at it very objectively in a fair way. And let's keep race control to do that. They're the right people. They've done enough. They have run the series in a very excellent format. Let them be the judge. Let them decide what is correct. And I know I'm putting too much pressure on them, but that's just part of the job. Once again, we see the content, and it seems like they actually didn't make contact. But again, Team RSR say it's a net code. I'm sure Team Hurting will have to say something else. I'm not the best person to decide. Just such a crazy way to end the championship, right? But it's not done yet. What is Matt Sturkey-Hertzfeld doing right now in terms of his lap times? He is not getting time. He's not getting time, unfortunately for them. He's lost 3 seconds, 3/10 of a second, mind you, to Samuel Robson in the Archer Brother Esports car up ahead. Wow.
By the way, on our timing and scoring screen, I also see we have a great battle going on for 7th place between Stöckbauer and Sim Racing Leo. Right now heading into turn 2 there. I can see them going side by side through Clayton.
Yeah, exactly. Quasar Sim Racing going to the outside line. Not quite getting something done for their advantage. It is still the RSR 55 car with Stöckbauer behind the wheel, doing an incredible job to defend. And he keeps that position. Last 7 minutes of the championship. I can't believe I'm saying this. I feel very bad, but I feel equally happy at the same time that we've got to see such an unbelievable series with so much drama, which is still not done yet, you know. Currently, Boris Angelovando leads, but now comes the Quasar Sim Racing car. To the outside line they go. They're not going to let this position go for granted. Tenzit, but not quite materializing well. And that RSR 55 car is battered and bruised. It's wearing his battle scars very proudly. And with that, they defend the position heading towards white corner. So, all beautiful in this particular battle. Only a couple of tenths separating them. But at the top, Boris Angelovando is 7 seconds behind. Let's focus back. Let's put this thing into perspective once again. Maxi Marriott and N-Race Esports are on their way to win their first ever race in this championship as it stands. Amidst all the drama and the chaos. Here we go. Replay from another angle of the big incident.
Oh, on the bottom screen though. Big crash for 7th place.
Yeah. RSR 55 have made contact with the Quasar Sim Racing car. Oh, come on. This battle once again is also ruined by another unfortunate crash. And the RSR 55 car was also in that big battle for P number 5, you see. That could be huge for the championship. What? Can we not have one position locked in and sealed in already? This is mind-blowing. So what's happened here then?
Well, it seems like the RSR just a little bit too wide there, loses it on the grass, and then, oof, that's highly unlucky for the Quasar team.
Highly unlucky for Quasar, exactly. I mean, I feel for them. They've had a torrid race weekend with so much opportunity, and this one just what could have been. Sadly, what isn't. Unfortunate mistake there by Michael Stockbauer under pressure. Man, this is insane. This is just very hard. Just very hard to watch. I won't be lying if I say this has to be the most emotionally challenging broadcast that I've done in my life, and I'm glad. This is what racing should be, right? It takes your emotions, swings it all the way through, and gives you a good time. Hursing will on the comeback now, going to pass the Archer Brothers esports car to the outside line. No, they can get this done. But Archer Brothers Esports, they're not the easiest team in the world to pass, mind you. A very well-run outfit that did an excellent job in race number 1, finishing in P number 2. But look at that! That's CXR Project Black in P number 3. They started last. They're in P number 3. Full salute to CXR Project Black. We just haven't spoken about them enough amidst all the drama that's happened here today. But what a drive it has been from them as well. Tony Waters in the pit lane for Quasar. Remember that accident that happened with them and the RSR team. Now, Archer Brothers, they're going for a counter-attack, right? They were under attack by Team Hursingwell. They said, why defend when we can go attack the car up ahead of them? So that is exactly what they're doing. Stefan, Archer Brothers are no slouch, but CXR have just put in the drive of the season, at least from their perspective, I must say. Who wins this one with only 3 minutes to go, mind you?
Yeah, well, don't forget about that 78 machine in behind, because they only need to gain 1 position here and they're back in the championship lead. And quite honestly, RSR can't change anything about their position because they're at the same speed of N-Race, and that means that he is going for the pass on Archers but can't make it done right here.
Yeah, exactly. Can't make it done right here. 2.5 minutes left to go, more or less. So if this battle is going to spill over, I hope it doesn't. Well, there's not much time left. I hope they keep it clean and just are able to make it a tremendous finish towards the very end. A 3-way battle for the final slot on the podium could be a fight to the finish. Boris Angelovando, meanwhile, provisionally is going to be a championship winner as the live standings stand. Race Control could have a very big decision to make. Do they give the penalty to RSR, or do they let things stand as they are? If they don't, RSR Esports by G Performance could be your inaugural IVRA GT Sprint champions. Even after Hursingwell won 4 races in a row after that incredible comeback. I knew from the very beginning that this is going to be a brilliant fight between RSR and Team Hursingwell right from the first round. Mac Performance just brought their necks in and they did an excellent job throughout the season. Sadly, not working out for them today. Very, very tough luck. Hursingwell making a move on Archer Brother Esports. They seemingly have got their nose up ahead. This will change the point standings as well.
Yeah, and I just realized I made a small mistake with my calculations, because now Team Hursingwell, 2nd place, 1 point behind RSR, so they need that top 3. They need to pass CXR Project Black, otherwise they are losing out on the championship by a single point.
Subject to race control decisions, mind you. I hate to say this, but that could be the way this championship goes. 1 point! I cannot believe what we're seeing. He's only got 1 more minute. Ideally, we should have 1 more lap until this ends. My heart is pumping. My heart rate is absolutely pumping at this stage. Never have I been so excited towards the end of the race. Come on, Max Dogsworthwell, can you get this done? Can you get that 1 last position that seals in the championship, regardless of race control's decision? 1 more lap left to go at the line. At the top, Maxime Marriott. He has been calm as ever. He has been the defining performer of this race, leading and taking N-Race Esports to their first ever win in this championship. When he crosses the line, which is now, we're going to have 1 more lap to go. The white flag is in the air, not just for race number 2 of the TTMP round of the IVRA GT Sprint Series, but for the entire championship. 1 more lap until we end the inaugural series of this brilliant championship that has taken my emotions and yours too, ladies and gentlemen, for for an absolute ride. All that's left to see. Can Mats Turger Hertzfeld make the move on Paul Searle for the podium, for the championship? Looking unlikely. Not many opportunities left now. Riding on board with him. Noses up. Goes past the bridge for this tricky braking corner. This has to be it for him. He sends it, gets ever so closer. The Lamborghini defense, and of course he has to. For CXR Project Black, this is going to be such a big podium. But the run is here. Mats Turger Hertzfeld is closing up, you know. He's getting the draft, you see. The Audi is slightly faster than the Lamborghini on the straights. This could be it. Mats Turger Hertzfeld is closing up. To the outside line he goes for the championship. N-Race Esports win their first ever race in the IVRA GT Sprint Series, but he's got it done! Mats Turger Hertzfeld has got it done! Or has he? A cutback from CXR Project Black. Oh my goodness me! Across the line, a photo finish! And at the line, it is not Team Hersingwell to win. It is RSR Esports by G Performance, the 56, subject to race control decision that is, who are the inaugural IVRA GT Sprint champions. Right, this battle isn't over yet. Let's focus on this one and then we'll take a slight pause because we definitely deserve it. Leipert Esports sending something on the second RSR car. He's going to make something, is he? He's not quite. Another photo finish, is it? For P number 9 at the end of this race. Who's going to get it? It is Leipert! Wow! Wow! What a finish! If you want to know, ladies and gentlemen, what IVRA competition is all about, to show them race number 2 of the CTMP round, the round number 12 of the IVRA GT Sprint Series' opening series. This is racing. This is what racing should do to us. Should get our heart rate pumping, should get us sweating, should get us exciting, jumping off our chair, unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen next. You're getting goosebumps on your hand. You're fumbling up your words with excitement. This is what racing should be all about. You're emotionally invested in this battle and it is satisfying. A deep breath in and out. This is the end of the series, ladies and gentlemen. Can you believe it? This is how we've ended. And as it stands, on the line, RSR Esports by G Performance is your inaugural IVRA GT Sprint champion. But, and I say this could be a big but, you don't know. We don't know. Race Control is still yet to make their decision. They still are going to review what has happened between Team Hersingwell and RSR Esports by G Performance. That literally cost Hersingwell the championship on the line by a margin of 1 point. Not 100, not 20, not 15, not 30, nothing. 1 point. So Stefan, how do you sum this up in one word?
I need a few more words than just one. And I'm gonna say, I think I've grown older by like 40 years because of this race. Just incredible excitement, incredible drama, right to the wire, decided by a single point as we stand. I don't know, not even Stephen King would have been able to write this.
You're absolutely right. Yep, this is just live sport. This is what live sport should do. At the end though, let's take a moment away from the championship and just give a huge round of applause to N-Race Esports to become another team to get their first win in the IVRA GT Sprint Series. Maxime Mario bringing the car home 8 seconds away from your provisional champions, RSR Esports by G Performance 56. But this may be a slightly ugly way to settle it, but if RSR are indeed your champions, it is just equally as deserving. Apart from that final incident, which is still disputable, I have no opinions on this yet, but they have put in such great effort. They initially were behind the shadow of the 55 car, but then the 56 just transformed after Zandvoort. Immense performances, incredible efforts, incredible comeback drives. even if they are the champions, even if it's Helsingborg or RSR, both equally well-deserving teams who have put in some crazy effort and some amazing performances. They get my respect, to be very honest with you. And Paul Searle, what have you done, my friend? That is an incredible drive for the Lamborghini. CXR recovering extremely well, and more importantly, holding off an incredible attack from not just Mats Sturg Hertzfeld, but also Samuel Robson in the Archer Brothers esports car. The gap, it is under 1/10 of a second between P3, 4 and 5. How often do you get to see that in road course racing? I'll tell you, not very often. In fact, 1 in 100 pretty much. Then Florian Wolkenmeyer sim speed performance for P number 6. Marty Yakola for Team Vikings doing a very good job bringing that car home in number 7. Again, look at the funny thing. Car 777 in P number 7. Well, hey. And then Mag Performance. I'm gutted for Team Mag Performance. It was all in sight for them, much like Team Helsingborg, but just, dare I say this, cracking under pressure. But I know they will fight back. They've been such a good team, so well run, so well organized. Things just happen, and I hope to see them do an extremely good job in Season 2. They've been very impressive. Lightwood Esports White in P number 9 with Marion Hensel in the number 10 car, and Michael Stogbauer having to fight it all out towards the end. He finishes in P10 for the RSR Esport by G Performance, number 55. Paul Searle set the fastest lap meanwhile while this happened in the CXR Project Black Lamborghini, and then Neil Butler for the lapside racing team Ferrari. I think that's a very good result for them. They finished in P number 11. Pierre Burmeister for the awesome Motorsport Group Ferrari in P number 12. Thomas Hamrizak for Shipsky Racing. I hope I've got his name correctly. He's an excellent driver, and Shipsky finally getting a pretty decent result. They are in P number 13. And David Melnerovich for Team Lapsat Racing number 11, having that crash, finishing 2 laps behind in 14. Yoni Waters for Quasar, unfortunate incident for them, they are in 15th. Robin DeBecker for Road Chicken Nuggets, we saw them have their crash 10 laps from the end, they're in 16th. Same for Gareth Thompson for Quasar Sim Racing, he's in 17th. Sven and Tobin for Apex Missers 185. They had that early incident, with Mac Performance. Man, it seemed like it's been a million years away that they are in 18th. Vitor Brast for Team Oblivion, a very fun team to watch in P19. Vincent Ravelsloot, what could have been, they are in P20 for the Apex Missers 186. Stefan, I think we're going to get the shot of the season. Why don't you talk us through it?
Yeah, most definitely a shot of the season. Look at that difference between CXR and Heusenfeld over the line. And one thing you can't see is on the other side of that CXR team, you also have the Archer brothers. And all of that was covered by a whopping, quick calculations, 0.113 seconds. So 113 1,000ths of a second, separating third from fifth.
Can you beat that? Not quite. No, you can't quite beat that, can you? This is not normal. This stuff is amazing. Mind-blowing, fascinating, stunning, whatever brilliant adjective you can find. This is it. And I hate to say this, but the IVRA GT Sprint Series unfortunately has come to a close, but we are going to get a second season. And we shall speak about it in depth. But first, I think it is going to be time for some interviews. Let's see who we can grab a hold of first. Let's actually bring in our provisional champion of the IRA GT Sprint Series, Boris Angel Ovando, for RSR Esports by G Performance, number 56. Boris, mate, I don't know whether to say congratulations or not or whatever it is, but the only thing I can say, mate, honestly, what a performance it was from you guys throughout the season. So gratifying to see you guys do so well. How would you cap it off?
Thank you, guys. It's been an amazing season. We look forward to coming back and competing again. And we gave it all we had throughout the whole season, despite challenges. Try to overcome adversity, and that's just a testament to the team. Really, again, progressing and getting better.
Boris, if you do end up winning this championship, of course, subject to race control's decision, it'll be so dramatic for you, considering the run of dominance that you had early on, then the drama at Zandvoort, then the moment when you switched to the 56 car. It's just going to be the most emotionally satisfying end to the season, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah, and to be honest, it's there's even a little bit more of a wrinkle. I actually didn't start the season with the team like in IVRA, and I think it was a little bit before midway through the season that I decided to come on board and do the GT series specifically.
Yep.
And I was really an alternate driver, driving sometimes the 56, sometimes the 55 as I was needed. So to become an integral part of the team, that really makes me happy.
Exactly. What a year it has been, and in general, we have to speak about what it means for RSR, right? We've seen this brand really grow throughout the season, and you guys are now competing in multiple championships. IVRA Endurance Series, the one that really comes to mind. How has RSR Esport by G Performance grown since you guys have competed in the GT Sprint Series? Because personally, for me, I hold you guys in a much better light now at the end of this.
You're right, and I agree. It's grown tremendously and very quickly. We've had to adjust. When we entered the championships, we didn't quite have the driver lineup that we have now, so we did struggle at times to field all the teams, and that's just part of the growing pains of becoming a top team. We're not quite there yet, but I think we do have the right people, and I'm looking forward to what this year has in store for us.
Absolutely. Boris, before we let you go, mate, any final words that you have to say towards the championship as a whole? What do you feel, and who would you like to thank for this? It's been a wonderful journey, this.
Well, I've never had a chance to thank you guys. You do an amazing job, so I take this opportunity to thank you guys. Thank RSR Esport as well. The team works really hard, and I'm really proud to be part of the team. And thank you to our sponsors as always: G Performance, FHN, Buck Kicker, and Velasquez Engineering.
Boris, a real pleasure to chat with you, mate. Let's see what race control decides towards the very end. As it stands, you guys are the interim provisional champions. Let's see how this one goes. But throughout the whole season, mate, really good driving.
Thank you, guys. Yep, we'll see how it pans out. I'm probably going to be biting my nails off waiting for the decision. So
should be an interesting one. That, ladies and gentlemen, Boris Angulovando for RSR Esports by G Performance, number 56. Let's bring in Michael Schlacks from Team Mag Performance. Could have been theirs so easily. Stefan Schlacker is standing right here with Michael.
Yeah, Michael, what a disappointing race weekend probably for you guys, coming into this weekend as the championship favorites, as the championship leaders, and then even being able to hold on to the championship lead in the second race until that crash. Talk us through your emotions right now.
Yeah, guys, that was emotionally terrible. We know that guys didn't intentionally, because we saw the curb on the inside that bumped their car into us. It wasn't our day, simply. It was very unlucky, and at least we are happy because we gave everything during the season. I think we can be happy for and for sure we'll be keep on the fight for the next title. So I want to thank you guys and the Resurrection for the organization of this championship, of this league that was very awesome. And I want to say a big thank you to my teammate Nick Madsen, because he was he is the reason why I'm fighting every time, every race. It's beautiful to race with him. And a big thank you to my team manager Augusto Cacciani that help us every time. So guys, thank you again. That was the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the season in review, I think you can still be extremely proud of what you have achieved with that number 14. You started off in the BMW Z4, switched over to the Audi. Are you looking back at the decision? Was it the right move for you guys to switch to the Audi, or do you think that should have taken a different car?
No, we started the season with Audi, and
oh right, yeah, sorry,
yeah,
wrong team.
we keep it through the season. I think it was the right choice. The BMW in the beginning of the season were a lot overpowered in the engine. We saw in Daytona where it was almost impossible to follow them for every other car. I don't mean only RSR, but every car that has every team that were driving a BMW had an incredible advantage on the straight. Even in Silverstone, that was tough things to fight with them, because on the straight you are not able to overtake them. But Audi is an incredible car. I love it. It's competitive everywhere, almost. Maybe this is one of the track where it's very difficult to make a setup for the car. We saw the guys from Hosenveld did an awesome job in this way. They were clearly the fastest today with an incredible car. So yeah, maybe the next season the thing will be different, and I think Lamborghini and BMW will be again very competitive, especially the BMW that is continuously developed by.
Yeah, right. Now, I have to stop this interview here for just a second because, Sumil, we have news from Race Control.
Take a deep breath, ladies and gentlemen. This is the moment. Race Control, I'm going to quote them in their own words. I'm not going to spin anything up. Play the drum roll. Okay, I'm going to play it on my own. Okay. RSR post-race 5-second penalty. Race Control notified them to cede position back to Horsingwell to resume battle, sportsmanship, with approximately 8 minutes remaining in the race. After we had an opportunity to review that it would likely be a penalty and to see if they would give it back on their own accord. This means that the 5-second penalty puts RSR Esports by G Performance, the 56 car, back by a couple of positions. What does this mean in the championship though? RSR Esports by G Performance, number 56, 2003 points. Team Horsingweld, 2039 points. Team Horsingweld, 78 are your inaugural IVRA GT Sprint Series champions. Could you have come to a conclusion in a more dramatic way? If you're saying yes, you're lying.
I mean, probably yes, if that then would be decided by a point. So that would be more dramatic. But no, quite honestly, can't have a much more dramatic finish to the season at all. Well, yeah, back to the interview with Michael here. Not wanting him to wait too long. Michael, before we let you go, the stage is yours. Who do I want to thank for this awesome season?
We thank obviously my teammate, as I told you before, and a big thank to the team, Augusto Cacciami, that helped us every time. It's a beautiful guy that helped everyone in the team every time, and thank to you guys that make this possible. Thank you very much, guys. All the best.
That was Michael Schlax, ladies and gentlemen. Real good pleasure to speak to him. It's been a tricky season, tricky end rather, I must say, for Mike Performance, but a very good season, very impressive on the whole. But as of Race Control's decision, your champions, Team Horsingwell, you know what? Let's actually have a word with the inaugural IVRA GT Sprint Series champions. Let's bring in Mats Hertzfeld and Andrei Rakovic. Mats, now So, I have a lot of things to discuss with you.
Oh
First
no.
up, you know what we're gonna get to. First up, congratulations. You are the inaugural IVRA GT Sprint Series champion. Second, how frantic was it just to log on to your PC to drive? Because had it not happened, we wouldn't have seen you in the car at all.
Yeah, first of all, I lost the words. First of all, thank you. It was a really roller coaster ride, the second race. I was so angry that I couldn't join the server at first. But then, yeah, the whole Heusingfeld community sent me messages with their accounts, and we sorted out the problems, and I could join with the other account, and yeah, in the end could race and could jump into the car and yeah, get the car through the finish line. And the race also was it was a roller coaster ride.
I can imagine. What were the thoughts going in your mind when we had that incident with the RSR car, and then the comeback after that? There's so much to speak about, but there's also that crazy finish that he had in the. What do we touch upon first?
Yeah, first of all, I had to get into the rhythm for the first 10 minutes because yeah, I couldn't really focus on the race at first, and yeah, my pace wasn't as good as in the first race. And yeah, then we were in the fight with the 56 car, and yeah, it was a hard fight, and in the end there was a contact, and yeah, we lost some positions. But after that, yeah, something like yeah, the switch was turned around, and then I was in something like a attack mode, and yeah, then the pace was better, but nevertheless it was really hard to fight the other guys because yeah, no really overtaking opportunity, only around the outside there in the last complex, and yeah, it's always with a high risk of a crash or a contact, and yeah, I'm sweating like crazy.
I can only imagine, man. It must be such a dramatic way to end the championship. Andrew, I'll come to you for this one. What does it mean to the Hurstingwell brand to win the inaugural championship of the IRA GT Sprint Series?
Yeah, first of all, we started with 2 cars, but because of some drivers leaving, I had to had to put my car out of the list, and so I just was a visitor and watching all the races with full enthusiasm for my team. And Max and Mats, they did a marvelous job. The comeback from the Sanford round up to the final was incredible. They put everything in, and it was so much fun to watch. And winning this championship is just great because yesterday we managed to secure the Club Sport championship in the TCR. Didn't manage to finish it with the GT4, only on second place. But yeah, the GT Sprint Series was another one we wanted to take with the endurance still open, and it was fun to watch. It was a great community, and the broadcast was incredible. And yeah, I really loved to watch the Sprint Series on Sundays when it was on.
Oh yeah, seriously, it's going to be so much fun when the championship comes back. Finally, guys, who would you like to give a shout out to for winning this big championship? It must be a big weekend for the entire Hurstingwell team, winning the double championship in the IVRA Club Sports Series as well. What do you have to say finally?
I want to thank all our team members because you just saw it today. Mats dropped off from the server, and it didn't take 1 minute because everyone from our team was watching live and sending the accounts. Come on, John, do it, finish it. And that's team spirit. And that's what I love about Heusingfeld. We are all just no professionals. We are just private guys having fun in simulation racing, and everybody stands for everybody. And that's a big shout out to my teammates, and congratulations again to Max and Mats.
Yeah,
Well,
I've got
what about you,
nothing,
Mats?
nothing to add. It's a great weekend for us, for our team, winning in the TCR championship, the TCR title in the club sport, and today the GT Sprint title. Just incredible.
Guys, real pleasure to speak to you. Enjoyed. I hope the party is going to be really, really good at the end of this. You deserve it, guys. Champions of the IVRA GT Sprint Series, Team Heusingfeld.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
What a way to end, Stefan. This is just the most dramatic way to end the championship. And what do we say at this case? It's going to be so tricky, right, to sum it up. Now, there's obviously going to be a bit of dispute. Let's not turn the chat into something very toxic. What happened has happened. Race Control has given their verdict. They're the ones having the superior power. You can discuss what happens with them. But on an objective scale, this just has to be, and I'm not exaggerating here, the most dramatic and emotional race that I've seen personally. Not exaggerating, honestly. What a way to finish. And it's not done yet. We have another season coming up. This is just incredible stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, it is an IVRA championship, and IVRA always produces great racing and drama and excitement, and most definitely that's exactly what today, once again, was. And yeah, you said it. I mean, contact was made. It's racing. Mistakes happen. And the 56 could have potentially resurrected that. They could have let the 78 past again, and all would have been good, and maybe they would have still won the championship. But you have to give it to that Team Heusingfeld team, because not only have they won the inaugural GT Sprint Series, but they have also won the TCR Championship yesterday and placed second place in the GT4 Championship in the Club Sport Series. So 2 wins and a second place in one season of IVRA competition. I don't think that many other teams can do such a thing.
Exactly, you just have to give it to them. And also you have to give it to every single other team competing in the championship as well. All of them putting in 100% effort, putting in such an excellent show, entertaining all of us, and just having such a good time. It is a lovely atmosphere here in the IVRA GT Sprint Series, and my full salute to all the teams and drivers that have competed. But also, before we go, ladies and gentlemen, a word of thanks to all the organizers, right? It's a job that's really hard and not recognized enough. To Julian, to Casper, to Richard, all of them who have worked on making sure that the IVRA GT Sprint Series is such a well-managed championship. They often don't come in the spotlight, but they are the ones that need to be credited. So a big word of thanks to Race Control, and also to teams and drivers, to all of you, my dear viewers, for watching. You've been joining us along for quite a long while, and your support has been the one thing that's been keeping us going. Join us once again for the second season. It's going to be an absolutely incredible calendar. Many new changes coming up. Also the IVRA Triple Crown 2. More information at ivraleague.com. Once again, subscribe to RaceSpotTV if you liked our content. Give us a like, and at the end, of course, also big thank you to Arjuna Kankipati, who's not here today, unfortunately, but who has carried along the broadcast for quite a long while. So, and also to you, Stefan, for being an amazing commentator for this final round, and also to Tyler Maxson for working on production for this one. The cameras were lovely, weren't they? He was the man working the magic. Once again, folks, this has been it. On behalf of everyone at RaceSpotTV and the IVRA League, my name is Somal Arora, and we shall see you rather soon. Till then, goodbye and good night.